Take one.
You tell me when. Okay, we'll call this meeting to order. First thing on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
I will move to approve tonight's agenda.
Thank you. It's
I
been
need a
moved.
second.
Do I have a second? It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion or objection?
I like
Hearing
the
none. Pardon me?
agenda. I like the agenda.
Thank you. Hearing none, the agenda is approved. We are now going to dismiss to executive session pursuant to ORS 192.660I to review and evaluate the employment-related performance of the chief executive officer of any public body, a public officer, employee, or staff member who does not request an open hearing.
and then you can bring us out.
Okay.
Oh, we're on.
Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody back from executive session. I don't believe we have any action to take from executive session, so we will go on to our consent agenda.
Just one
Do I
moment.
have a motion?
You-
Oh,
She's gonna let the folks in the hallway.
The people waiting.
The boards are coming.
Teacher Dan.
My favorite preschool teachers.
Come on in and join us.
Yay, thank you.
Should I sing you a song real quick? Even with laryngitis?
Sure.
It's a really good one.
Okay, do it.
All you learn here, remember this the best. Don't hurt each other and clean up your mess. Take a nap every day, wash before you eat. Hold hands, stick together, look before you cross the street. And remember the seed in the little paper cup. First the roots grow down and then the plant grows up. It's the kindergarten song.
Definitely will be missed.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, we just came back from non-public session. We're not taking any action based on that. So we're moving now to, do I have a motion to accept our consent agenda?
I will make a motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the consent agenda. Is there any discussion or objection?
Point of discussion, just the communicable diseases in schools, the GBEBAR, the sentence changed to clarify that, and that looks good. And the numbering still might be funky. I just can't tell because it's been edited and changed so many times.
We're in the same boat. I'll
Okay.
make sure that the numbers are correct.
But the sentence makes it, now the sentence makes sense, so. And
Good.
yeah,
Good.
so good job, thank you.
Some of these are not written the way you would think they should be. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. There's no objection. The consent agenda is accepted. Okay, I am now going to, oh, is it 6 o'clock? Yes, I'm now going to declare open the budget hearing.
I'm trying to get everyone more access. I hear you cannot open it on the agenda.
No.
However, it's not my file, so I can't grant more access, but I'm able to download it. I'm going to email it to everybody. Are you logged in on your?
No. Share with somebody. On the Outlook.
Yeah, I'm sharing it right now. I apologize. There's bound to be one technical difficulty. And then David, I'll.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's mine. That's it. I shared with you the link, David.
Okay.
But my link. So essentially, many of you were here for the proposed budget committee meeting. There have been no changes, as there were none recommended by the budget committee. Superintendent Roberts and I worked really hard in building both a new format to this budget document that will hopefully be more user-friendly, as well as balancing it, which was quite a challenge this year. While we are in the 51% split of the state school fund biennium, our enrollment is decreasing by about 60 every year, which is about 660,000. We are graduating significantly more than we are enrolling in kindergarten, as every district or major number of districts in the state are. So that's not to be unexpected. This was also forecasted in our data forecast for enrollment through 2032. They predicted we'd be down. Oh yeah, I was just going off key, but you should have gotten my emails now with the link. So statewide enrollment is down, our local enrollment is down. However, that also comes with our grant revenues are down because many of our state grants are tied directly to our ADM. So that specifically is High School Success, EIIS, Student Success Act, Early Literacy. So a lot of those grants based on ADM, we are seeing slight decreases. However, our title funding, which we had predicted would go down, it did, but very so slightly, only by about 20,000 roughly. Yeah. So that's great for us. That's as close to flat funding as we could have expected. And we were able to shift the additional costs that would have been tied to that to SIA, and thankfully not as much as we were having to plan for. You'll see this is our projected enrollment next year at just over 2,900. So this does include Lighthouse, East Bay, online, all of our alt ed programs in all of our brick and mortar buildings. General fund. So typically we are really heavy in revenues for state school fund. And then our next source of revenue would be general property taxes. And then we see a little bit of intermediate and federal sources. Those are both supposed to increase next year because we are going to begin again claiming for Medicaid, which is a federal revenue. We are in a pilot program to start claiming that more significantly next year. And then we are also potentially working with the ESD, the local ESD, to pull some service credits that we had not previously accessed because we were using all of our funds at the ESD plus one more to fund our ALS program. And so now that we are running the Independent Skill Center within our district, we had quite a bit of funding that sits there. And so we're able to claim it down to provide some of those services for our buildings that they don't provide. General fund expenditures. The largest source is instruction. So that is our in-building services, the teachers, educational assistants, special education, both the Independent Skill Center, PGC. It provides everything you need in the building for actual teaching and learning. And then we have our next biggest is support services. So this includes principals, curriculum, maintenance and facilities. It is significant. It's about 40% of our budget, but that is necessary. We've had two rather large curriculum adoptions in the last 2 years, being math and social studies next year. Special fund revenue. We don't actually plan to see any significant changes in here because ESSER was 2 budget years ago. Our SIA, our Student Success Grant, is staying pretty consistent. Our early literacy, pretty consistent. The only one that we are seeing a large reduction in is the competitive literacy grant, which is a federal grant that we actually didn't know about when we built the budget last year. So we got a double dose this year. Next year we'll go back to a single-year dose. And then preschool promise, pretty consistent. All of our grants are relatively consistent, and then the scholarship community is housed within. But no significant changes. It
When did we find out we were getting more preschool promise?
It could be honestly any time even after school starts. Hopefully we'll hear sooner rather than later. Would you agree, Ms. Hansworth?
Yeah, hopefully we'll hear it in June.
Hopefully in June, we'll hear some more information and start planning. But because there were rumblings that we may potentially see another classroom, we did build in the staffing in case we do get that, so that we don't have to do a supplemental budget the first month of the budget, that if we got another classroom, we'd have the ability to staff it. So that is in there. You'll see an additional teacher and 2 EAs for that. And then debt service, you'll see our expenditures are decreasing. That's because this month we are paying off our last payment to the PERS UAL bond, which is wonderful. That got taken out in 2007. So this is our final payment this June, and then we will only be paying the pension, the bond, the facilities major bond from 2018 to 2020. So we have that for quite some time, but it is nice to see those expenditures go down. But our PERS rate might go up, so it might offset next year. And then capital projects. So this one, you actually do see a pretty significant change from budget to budget. That's because this fiscal year, we had some larger projects that we knew we were doing. The Milner Crest renovation, the Blossom Gulch finishing up that renovation. Next year, we don't have any of those significant projects on the docket, and we're really trying to get some of the annual inspections and really get data developments and maybe the flipping. And so Loma's goal is really to get the day-to-day operations functioning really well rather than do a big remodel or upgrade. And so I put significantly more money in support services than we have into facilities acquisition and construction. That's why those two amounts are pretty significantly different this year.
I was just gonna ask about, did you guys talk about the roof already and going out for?
So we did briefly talk about that at the budget committee, and with working with Loma and ODE, we are currently working on a seismic assessment grant, which we should know about mid-fall, in which case then we can get everything planned to start doing all the work next summer, which would be in time for next budget. And so that is kind of the direction that we're leaning, is if we can get some seismic assessment upgrades, that is a pretty significant amount of
So
money.
they'll let us know in the fall.
Yeah, typically in the fall, and then you get the funds usually in about January or February, and then you can start getting the work, the architects, the pieces together, the bids, and then work would start July 1. Good question, Derek. Did you have a question?
Same question.
Honestly, in this reduction, it was majority staffing reductions because a large chunk of our budget is staffing. One wonderful thing is that in all of these reductions, it impacted one person who is no longer going to be working for the school district. They could have probably. There are lots of openings right now. So we reduced 2, it's really 3 FTE teachers at Millicoma. There was a third after we built this. 3 teachers at the high school based on their ADM, 2 FTE at the junior high based on their ADM. We did a staffing allocation methodology this year, which essentially says if you have this many students, your calculation would be that you need this much FTE. And then we gave that to our principals to then build what their ideal staffing would look like. And then we worked with the positions we already had built. Then we had a reduction of a literacy TOSA. That was because of the double year of that comprehensive literacy grant. We no longer have that, so we reduced that TOSA position. We're reducing a 0.25 FTE of admin at the high school. We had a resignation mid-year. That was Rob Scoville, and we decided not to fill that. We reduced half a secretary at the maintenance department because that was the newest secretarial position added. 2 FTE of custodians, 2 FTE of tech, 2 of the 6th grade support in that bubble class. In 6th grade, they're now moving to the junior high, so we've reduced that 6th grade position at each of our upper elementaries. And then we're adding actually 1 online teacher because we enrollment is so high already with that online program that we're gonna be over the caseload. And so we were required to add one more FTE to balance that out. And then my little note is that we added the extra FTE for one little pirate classroom. And those are the significant changes. It's pretty staff heavy. However, we did do things as all of the admin are going to be taken to furlough days. We reduced the curriculum and the technology and facilities supply budgets. HR and business, we don't really have a lot of supply budgets. There wasn't very much that we could trim. But Michelle did make a significant FTE reduction in her department. We reduced wherever we could district level and then brought that down to the buildings. But does anyone have any questions?
Is that two days for the entire year, furlough days for the admin staff?
Correct. We tried to make each kind of group of reduction pretty consistent in cost savings. So that was our closest that we could get to that. This clicker hates me. But that is all I have for you guys. Do you have any questions or discussions for you?
Ready? This is what we went over 2 weeks ago at the budget hearing also, so you should be familiar with it.
Thank you all. I apologize about the budget document.
Okay, so I need someone to make,
I think we have to open for public hearing.
oh, I thought we were.
We don't have to leave it, but we do have to open it up for public comment. And if we don't have any, then we can.
Is there any public comment to be offered on the budget? Nope. Seeing none,
Oh, I was just questioning.
do we then declare the public hearing closed and do the resolution?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask one more time if anybody has any input on the budget. And seeing none, we'll declare the budget hearing closed. So now we need a resolution.
Yes.
And it's a long one. So who wants to read it?
I'll be happy to read it. Do I
Thank
read the
you.
whole thing?
Yes.
Yeah, numbers included?
Yes.
That's why nobody
That's why
else.
nobody volunteered.
I like how Addie, nobody is that.
Just threw me to the wolves, okay. Resolution adopting the budget, resolution number 2026-03. Be it resolved that the Board of Directors for Coos Bay School District hereby adopts the budget for fiscal year 2026-27 in the total amount of $79,259,140. This budget is now on file at the District Administrative Office, 333 South 10th Street in Coos Bay, Oregon. Resolution making appropriations. Be it resolved that the amounts shown below are hereby appropriated for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2026 for the following purposes. General Fund, Instruction, $24,891,890. Support Services, $19,059,688. Enterprise and Community Services, 0. Facilities Acquisition, 0. Transfers, $180,000. Debt Services, 0. And contingency, $1,043,646 for a total of $45,175,224. Special Revenue Fund is Instruction at $9,099,668. Support Services, $3,029,645. Enterprise and Community Services, $3,280,881. Transfers, 0. Debt Services, 0. Contingency, $721,468 for a total of $16 million. Did I forget Facilities Acquisition? $0. For a total of $16,131,662. The Debt Services Fund, Support Services, $0. Debt Service, $3,908,400 for a total of $3,908,400. Capital Projects Fund. Support services at $797,500. Enterprise and Community Services, $0. Facilities and Acquisition, $250,000. Debt Services, $0. Contingency, $400,000, for a total of $1,447,500. This makes a total of $66,662,786, with total unappropriated and reserve amounts for all funds at $12,596,354, for a total adopted budget of $79,259,140. Resolution imposing the tax. Be it resolved that the Board of Directors for Coos Bay School District hereby imposes the taxes provided for in the adopted budget at 4.5276 per 1,000 of assessed value for a permanent tax rate, and in the amount of $4,330,176 for debt service on general obligation bonds, and that these taxes are hereby imposed for tax year 2026-2027 upon the assessed value of all taxable property within the district. Resolution categorizing the tax. Be it resolved that the Board of Directors for Coos Bay School District hereby categorizes the taxes as follows. Permanent rate tax for education, 4.5276 for every $1,000. General obligation bond, which is excluded with limitation, $4,330,176. The above resolution statements were approved and declared adopted on June 8, 2026.
Do I have a second? It's been moved and seconded the adoption of resolution number 2026-03, the budget for fiscal year 2026-2027. Is there any questions? Any further discussion? Kevin?
I'm gonna abstain because I wasn't at the committee meeting and my questions won't fit in this time, so.
Perfect. Thank you.
Aye.
Kim?
Aye.
Aye. Chair votes aye. Motion passes. We have a budget.
Thank you.
Okay. It is now time to honor those retiring members of our family here. Have something to read, and then if someone could help me by passing these things out. Okay. To our esteemed retirees, as the Board of Directors, we want to express our profound gratitude for the immense dedication, heart, and lifetime of service you've given to our students, families, and schools. While you each walk unique paths, your collective impact has shaped the very future and the very fabric of our community. As you step into this next chapter, we honor each of you and the distinct legacy you leave behind. Aaron Rayston, did I say that right? Austin. As a cornerstone of the Sunset School community, your time as a counselor was defined by an innate ability to make every single student feel secure, seen, and valued. Your departure left a deeply felt absence, but the welcoming culture you champion continues to thrive. Erin? Is Erin?
No.
Okay. Jen Winston, a fierce and steadfast advocate for your colleagues as a longtime building representative, you brought vibrant energy to the classroom. By introducing students to the worlds of dimension and perspective, you brought art out of the classroom and proudly shared it with our local community. No? Yes?
Nope, not here.
Joe Vieira. From Portugal to California and finally to Coos Bay, your incredible work ethic kept our district running smoothly behind the scenes. Whether ensuring safe spaces during the pandemic or talking football and the Raiders on Monday, your warmth and humor made a lasting impression on all of us. Boa sorte en tudo, amigo. And I'm sure I
Come on up, Joe, we have something
Come
for
on,
you.
Joe, we got something for you. Thank you. Teresa Thurman, with an extraordinary 39-year career focused entirely on helping students unlock their maximum potential, you've earned a legendary status. We hope your well-deserved retirement brings you plenty of time for reading, travel, sleeping in, and quiet afternoons with your cats. Joel Jones. For over 20 years at Destinations Academy, your impact stretched far beyond your English curriculum. You provided a steady, reliable anchor for students, constantly seeing the hidden potential in young people and pushing them to move forward. Thank you, Joel.
Not present.
And Ann Barker. Returning to your alma mater to finish your career was a gift to our math department and community. From advising the Pirates for Christ Club to revitalizing the boys bowling team, you showed our students immense empathy. You truly embody the phrase, once a pirate, always a pirate.
Addie, I think you missed the page too. Anne's not here.
She's got it okay.
It's back.
I
Okay,
did.
there you go.
She's got it.
We're, yeah,
I checked, she knows.
okay.
Jenny Klein, for 25 exceptional years, you poured your energy into fostering both academic excellence and deep social growth for our youth. Your passion for the outdoors and travel will serve you well as you transition into this peaceful new chapter. Holly Ovino, a true institution of local education since 1993, you've gracefully navigated decades of growth, structural transitions, and numerous leadership styles. As the ultimate keeper of everything, your sharp memory, historical knowledge, and deep friendships are entirely irreplaceable. Sherry Phillips. From your initial days as an enthusiastic parent volunteer to nearly 2 decades across 5 different campuses, your joy for life has been completely infectious. Your willingness to dive headfirst into any task, from reading groups to art projects, brought constant light to our schools. Thank you, Sherry. Mary Margaret Stockert. You have dedicated your life to our youngest learners, sparking curiosity first as a beloved kindergarten teacher at Madison and later at Little Pirates Preschool. Your hands-on approach built the critical, joyful foundations that will support our children for decades to come. Thank you very much. Dan Berskovich, or Teacher Dan. A masterful problem solver and a fierce champion for early childhood education, your vision was vital in launching the Preschool Promise program. You empowered our smallest students to communicate and grow, leaving behind an invaluable blueprint for our community. Terry Jones. As the heart of the Madison School Library, you worked tirelessly to ensure that every student could find a piece of themselves on the shelves. Your commitment to inclusivity and literacy transformed the library into a warm, welcoming haven for all. Thank you. And last but not least, Leslie Traylor. As a proud Marshall graduate, you returned to your roots to innovate. By launching and leading ResourceLink High School since 2003, you provided a lifeline of tailored, individualized education for students who needed a different path to graduation. Thank you. To all of you, you kept our buildings safe, filled our libraries and classrooms with inspiration, and spoken up for students who needed an advocate. Thank you for the long hours, the patience, and the care you poured into the Coos Bay School District. We wish you a lifetime of health, travel, relaxation, and beautiful new journey.
Yeah, I'd just like to say thank you. You know, some of you I knew as a child, Terry Jones. Others I had the opportunity to work with at Millicoma, and I appreciate it so much because it kept me on the straight and narrow, and also provided me any kind of document that I needed. Holly Ovino still did this year when I call and say, hey, do you have this? Of course I do. You have a calendar from this year? Yep, right here. I'll get it to you in 10 minutes. And then this year I've got to work with so many more people. And I just want to thank you for all that you've done for Coos Bay Schools, for the kids, and for the community. You've all left a legacy. Some of you, at least one of you, coming back, but you've all left a legacy that's going to be tough to follow. So thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. We are on to items for information, and we'll start off with Warren.
All right. My first piece of information is the last day of school is tomorrow for any Marshfield High School student that hasn't already graduated. Next, recently, Senior Prank Day. The reported highlight had been moving the pirate statue, which was in Maine, all the way inside, somehow, the boys' bathroom.
Oh my goodness.
Next, ASB, SNHS, and MHS charity program, along with several others, have all recently done elections. So, I don't know if I could list all those. Next, there was recently a cultural night in the recent weeks. The Alice play was in late April. And lastly, summer schooling is starting on June 22nd. Is there any questions?
Thank you.
No. Thank you very much, Warren.
Thank you.
Will you be back next year?
Sadly.
Sadly. Do you know who our new representative will be?
I think I can find out in the Google Classroom. Would you like me to email that?
Sure, that'd be nice. Or let David know, and he'll let the rest of us know.
Oh, and Warren, please take your full name.
Yeah, and take your name tag with you.
Thank you.
for coming. this
Thank you,
way.
Warren.
Thank you, Warren.
Great job.
We really appreciate it.
Fantastic job. I really
Yeah, you
appreciate
gave
it.
us lots of
And
information.
all the questions you've asked, your both places. Remember us.
Well done.
When you got to the schools, we've been billionaire. It's smart.
Good night.
Guys have a beautiful night.
You too.
Will you use my presentation, the one I shared? It's the one that's on.
Yeah, yes.
Because there's a few changes. I'm up, right?
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
Teacher Gideon was my son's.
Okay,
Good evening.
you're going to make our ORTI.
Yeah,
Is that how you say it? ORTI.
ORTII. And good evening, everyone. This was precipitated by, one of you, I think, had asked Gary to a little, what is it, DILT? What is this? So I figured I just kind of go back to the very beginning, give you a little bit of the history of how this all played out since from the district. And I just titled it Instructional Improvement, and we got a few things in there that are related to what we're talking about. All right, David, this button right here?
Yep.
Is it working? Gonna work?
There it goes.
Did I go too many? Yeah.
It says the number there at the bottom.
Gotcha. Here, go back. It was delayed there, I think. You started that.
Uh-huh.
There was a delay here in pushing this one that started. Let's see, maybe I just helped if I pointed that direction.
You'll know it works because it'll vibrate in your ear.
All right, I noticed that. And what kicked this off was the original legislature, the dyslexia legislation in 18 and 19 with the Senate bills, and I list them up there what they are. And what it was getting to is they were starting to touch on the wanting in Oregon the improvement of reading movement really is starting to take place here. And they put in place rules for dyslexia screening for incoming students at our lowest grade levels. And then also having one of our staff members in each building at those lower grade levels trained in dyslexia screening. And what we did is there was a few trainers in the state, and we sent our folks, a few from each building, to Barbara Steinberg, who owns the company Reading PDX Specialist. And she did that training. And when they came back especially after the second time, they said, we really need to pay attention to what's going on here. The training was outstanding, and we should expose more of our teachers to it. And this was kind of the kickoff for this change in our district, which ended up being what we call now the science of reading movement in our district. And it was good enough to where we wanted to expose everyone. And we were also changing the way that we were doing PD a little bit, that the call was to train everybody in the district. So a lot of times in our district, because instead of sending people on a road trip, because we have to pay for subs, hotel, travel, all these things, and even with the sub shortage, it's even worse. It's better to pay these folks to come to us. Because as it is right now, an expensive conference going away for a few days, by the time you pay subs and everything, and you get one, it can be $3,000 per person. Where when you bring somebody here, it's way cheaper. And the best thing about it is we can train everybody on a full day. Our EAs included, secretaries, whoever wants to, whoever we can get to attend. And so that's what we did here in 2019 in October. We brought Barbara Steinberg here, and we had so many people. We rented out the space, the Salmon Room at the Mill Casino, so we could get everyone. And we had these two trainings here, the reading brain and dyslexia, and phonology and decoding. It was interesting. At the end of these trainings, we did a little exit survey, and we had, because this flew in the face of what a lot of our teachers believed, and they felt like that it was attacking the love of reading. But we were at a place in science that we could actually see how the brain was starting to work with learning to read. And so these exit surveys were anything from this is complete garbage and trash you're going to make kids hate reading, to where, oh, now I finally understand what's going on here. For the longest time, I had been presenting easy CBM data at board meetings. And I always had to say that we were slightly below state average, and that was what I was reporting to year after year. And I'm going to show you one of those at the end. And one of our people kept saying, Amelia Ed kept saying, okay, this is where we're at. What do we do? And I couldn't give her a great answer. Teaching, I kind of had a sense of what I was supposed to do and was successful, but it was hard to articulate it to other people. It was hard to put it to words. And there was a lot of conflicting information, especially this was earlier on, closer to when I came from outside the district to here. It was really hard to put words to it. Let's see if I can get it to work here.
That buzzing noise is a good thing. Try one more time.
It vibrated, but
Try.
last time it delayed too when I tried to do it here.
Try now.
Make it now. So one of the things that helped us here is in May of 2019, the Student Success Act passed. And it took a little while for the funds, but we were able to start planning. What do we want to do with this funding? And it was split mainly between, we knew we needed behavior support, so a lot of the funding went towards SEL and support staff to support behavior, assistant principals, counselors, deans, the SEL staff. And then a big portion of it also went to literacy, and it allowed us to kick off and hire Amelia Ed as our first TOSA, our literacy TOSA. What was great about her is her finishing up in that time where she kept saying, well, okay, but what do we do? She decided to study and figure out what we were supposed to do and get advanced training. So she came back and kind of kicked us off in terms of, okay, we need to go towards the science of reading, and was able to put it towards and explain it for us. And some of these next slides, the timeline overlaps, but it's somewhat sequential. So then she led us towards letters training, and it's language essentials for teachers of reading and spelling. And we started off small groups of teachers taking this training. It amounts to about 80 hours, and it's intensive over the course of the year. We're doing self-study, PLCs, meetings some days, turning in some work. And we adjusted the way we did it. Sometimes teachers used a substitute, and sometimes they did it on their own for a stipend. And then we also started giving them micro-credentials so that they could move over on the pay scale. And that's kind of where we are now. For the most part, people are getting a stipend and with micro-credentials. If they're having trouble getting it done on their own, we still get a sub so that they can work for it. Because with our principal group going through this, and I'm mainly speaking about Amelia was a TOSA at the time, but Kara, Carly, and Gary, we decided that this was an important enough training that we were going to get it done one way or another. So either people were going to do it on their own for the stipend and the micro-credentials, or we were going to get subs and they were going to do it. Not too many people could escape. There was some reasons. New to the profession teachers, first-year teachers, we'd give them a little bit of a break, but we were going to apply a lot of pressure to get everybody else involved, because this was dead center with what we needed everyone to know. So starting at the K level, working our way up. So at this point, after working on this for several years, the vast majority of our K-3 teachers have either been trained, there's 2 volumes that we were working on, and at least 1 volume were in the training. About half of those folks have also completed volume 2. Less of our 4th through 6th grade staff has completed the training. But that's kind of where we're going to redouble our effort in the next few years here. And please stop me if you have questions on these. The other thing that was going on at the time, Amelia was leading us towards selecting the materials that aligned with what we were trying to do, and there wasn't that many. And that led to the selection of Amplify CKLA and ELA materials. We also moved from Easy CBM to DIBELS, and both of those were created at the University of Oregon, and they've been around for almost the same amount of time, and I used to call it Easy CBM DIBELS Lite. And because DIBELS went a step further and had what was called nonsense words in their inventory. So it was asking students to read words that aren't really words. But what that allowed for is to isolate, can they actually sound out the word, or did they memorize the word? Because it wasn't a word, so they had to sound it out to be able to say the word. Well, politically, we're going way back to 2006, people were saying that's nonsense. Why are we teaching kids nonsense words? And it wasn't about teaching them the words, it was about isolating the skill. But that's where we were, as a nation, even discussing these things. So we upgraded to Dibbles at that time. It's a bigger inventory, it's a little bit better, and politically it was an easy do. The other good thing is Amplify purchased or leased Dibbles from the U of O and built a software system, so it's not paper and pencil. So it's all integrated into the Amplify system, which the third part of that we ended up adopting is the adaptive reading software for students to learn. So it has 3 pieces now. The CKLA is K through 5. ELA is the 6th grade portion. We also have the assessment, which is Dibbles, and then Boost, which is the adaptive software. Also at that same time, and for several years before COVID, the principals were saying we need to apply to ORTI. And it's a group and it's a grant by the state that leads you through this process. And Amelia and I applied in 22-23 with the help of a few other principals, and we received the grant. It started with ORTI project in 23-24, and it goes through steps each year. So the first year we took our principals, TOSAs, and some other teacher leaders, mainly our intervention teachers. So it was intervention teachers and a few other teachers to the Core 1. And Tier 1 core is regular classroom instruction and how to shore that up and start putting in our processes and putting everything on paper. This is the way we do things in Coos Bay. Everybody uses Amplify. Because you go back 6 years, if teachers didn't want to use Amplify, they used something else. If they didn't want to really get involved in Easy CBM, they just didn't do it. And we really didn't call them out on it very well. But when we started putting things on paper, and with our principals that we have at the time, we all agreed we're all doing it this way, we're going this way. And once all of us decided that we're doing that, from principals to the superintendent, it started to happen because we were able to say, look, it's written down, this is the way we're doing it, everybody's doing it, you're doing it too. Yeah, I know you don't like to do it that way, or that's not your, back in the day they'd say, well, that doesn't fit my teaching style. Well, we know now this is the best way to do it. Learn how to do it if it's not your teaching style. And we use several examples. If your plumber comes to your house and he says, well, I do it this way, and you go like, but nobody does it that way anymore. But I like to do it that way. No, okay, you're not the right plumber. Or we could say that about a heart surgery or whatever it is. We need to do it the best way that we know how, not just because I like to do it that way. And so we started putting those things down on paper for the way that we do classroom instruction. Tier 2 is intervention. Year 3 was intensive intervention and also special services, learning about it. And then this next upcoming year is sustaining and ongoing coaching, because what the best professional development is supposed to be is where you learn bits over time instead of just going to a conference one time, and then you practice it. You get coaching, and that's the literacy TOSAs part, the ongoing coaching. So it's ongoing and embedded, and we track it. Let's see where we're at. Next one. Oh, DILT down there at the bottom, it's kind of held hidden, but the DILT is our leadership group that puts all of this in place. So ORTI trained us on how to do a DILT. And so our DILTs are comprised of some of us directors attend the meeting, principals, TOSAs, intervention specialists, some classroom teachers, some SPED staff. And we talk about all of these. So it's not just me putting it on paper and saying this is the rules. We study about it, hear from the experts in the room, and then make decisions. Our ORTI coach, Sharon, leads us through this process and is on call. We can call her anytime. Sometimes she comes and meets with us. Sometimes she attends our meetings. And that's the DILT. The BILT is the building leadership team, and sometimes she also meets with those groups. So it's trying to break down the leadership team. The DILT makes a lot of these decisions. then it goes back out, and the DILTs are in the building. So we're trying not to leave anybody behind. Everybody can take an active role in participating and implementing what we're trying to do. Let's see here. Some of the other things that the DILT does is visioning, goal setting. We try our best to make decisions based on data, so we review data. We coordinate the intervention, the MTSS, multi-tiered support systems. We build leadership capacity because we're all learning and getting better and getting coached ourselves by Sharon. And we monitor the implementation of the curricula and assessments, intervention, and instructional practice. It's stuck again. It's like it's going to sleep. And then another layer here, and this is great luck on our part. We started to receive the early literacy and comprehensive literacy grants, which are amounting to, and they're temporary to a certain extent, but they're adding about $650,000 to our budget. And you can see the years that they came into place here. And they allowed us to expand the number of literacy TOSAs that we had. It also allowed us to maintain high dosage tutoring, and Oregon defines that as small group intervention of 4 or less students, 30 minutes a day, at least 4 times a week, for at least 9-week cycles. And at the end of 9 weeks, we're supposed to analyze the data and make sure that the students are receiving the intervention that they need. Also, training. We haven't had to turn anybody down that wanted the letters training, or to go to the ORTI conferences for the most part. We've been able to take large groups, which has really been beneficial to bring everyone on board and expose nearly everyone through letters, through the conferences, through the DILT, to this project and the work. It's had a huge impact on our staff through consistency across the board. Most people at this point can speak to what we're doing. This isn't foreign to them. It's built tons of capacity for many of our teacher leaders, and we use data and we know how to use it, and it's impacting the decisions we're making. This is a chart, an example of the easy CBM data that I presented going way back to maybe even 2008, but this is a 2012-13 example. And some of the grade levels are hidden down there, but it's a fall. And if you can't read the small print, it's fine. You'll get the gist of it, but it's fall and spring starting in kinder, first, second, third. So it's pairs. And what you're seeing is the data at the beginning of the year, and then end of the year, beginning of the year, end of the year, beginning of the year, end of the year. And one of the things that Carly would state to me when I present this data is she thought that our data should be worse than it looks up here. Go back there. And she used to question if it was accurate or not. And so what you're seeing here is the kids in the red are at risk, solidly at risk. The yellow are like a little bit below grade level, depending on where they're at in the yellow. And green are at grade level or above. And if we're doing things right, the green should grow and the red should shrink. The yellow, it's kind of depends on which direction they go, but focus on the green and the red. And you'll notice over time here that depending on the grade level, it's kind of waffly the way it went, but at a lot of grade levels, by the end of the year, the red was growing and the green was shrinking. And if you look where they came in at kinder, and this isn't exactly apples to apples, but if you look at where they're coming in at kinder, we're doing worse by the time they're leaving us at 6th grade and going to junior high. The red has grown. I mean, if you average it anyway. And the green has shrunk over time. So we were losing ground. And that's what I had to keep reporting to the board year after year. So this is what our most recent data looks like here. And again, you can't read this fine small print. Just focus on the colors. This is 22, 23, and then now this last end of the year test that we did in 25, 26. And you'll see that the red is shrinking. And this new chart has just put the green and the blue together. The blue is doing really well, outstanding, but just put those together and you'll notice that the red is shrinking and the blue and the green is getting a lot bigger. It's dramatic, and that's just the last 2 years. And over time here, looking across the grade levels, the same thing for the most part is happening. We're not losing. I wish I could get rid of this box down here without blowing it up. But what you'll see here is down here at the bottom is that it's going the right way now. The green and the blue is getting bigger and the red is shrinking over time. So this investment, this effort that we're putting in is making a difference. The students, when they're leaving 6th grade, they're in a lot better place. And I'm hearing that from the high school and the junior high teachers, and we've only been doing this really great for maybe, I'm gonna say 3 years. I mean, if you go back in that timeline when we started, but you don't see the effect right away. But our junior high teachers are telling me solidly that the students that are coming in right now, they're noticing a big difference in their ability to read and write in the content areas. It's noticeable, and I didn't solicit that from them, they brought it up. We're definitely on the right path. Questions or thoughts?
Will there be an opportunity for you to show us at some point? I thank you, this is great. I really like seeing, I like seeing all the numbers. Having done it for 3 years, are we going to be able to look at 3 years ago, the kindergartners who are going to be in 4th grade next year and do that?
Sure.
Longitudinal, look at the same group of students?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can bring that, the cohorts.
Yeah, that'd be cool. And this is with Dibbles. No, this is with Orty.
This is what
This is Dibbles
This
here.
is Dibbles,
Yeah.
and because Easy CVM was the first one, okay.
And one of the cool things also with Dibbles is not only are we able to see, red, yellow, green, blue, we can also go in now with the way that Dibbles works, and we can say if a student has made below average growth, above average, or well above average. So not only can we look at it, we can also go into classroom teachers and look at their individual
Right.
students and say, hey, you started out with a ton of reds and maybe you got some of them to yellows. 85% of your kids made above average to well above average growth. That's a good year.
Yeah.
So we can actually break it down one step further than just.
So the Orty is really methodology, it's really a pedagogy.
Coaching.
And then the Dibbles is really
The assessment.
the assessment. So is there not this isn't Savas, this is the other one.
Amplify.
This is Amplify. Is there another assessment for Amplify?
Dibbles is
Or is
their,
it Dibbles?
Dibbles is
Dibbles.
their assessment
Okay.
package. They also have chapter and unit type tests, but
Yeah.
specific to reading skills, it's Amplify.
Gotcha.
It's,
Okay, thank
Dibbles,
you.
yes.
Thank you so much.
Is this data used to place kids with certain teachers?
For intervention groups, but
Yeah.
not necessarily the regular classroom
So
teacher.
all the greens are not in one classroom, all the reds are in another classroom?
And what we'll do is when we go to do this Dibbles assessment, specifically the K3 level, but we can do it all the way through 6th grade. The students that are in the red and even some that are flagged with the yellow, we could take them down an additional road of assessments to try to dig a little deeper at the gap that's there. And then at least at the 3-6 level, we use Amplify's intervention toolkits. And once you dig the deeper to the gap, it'll say, place these 5 kids in this group because this is their gap. And then place these 5 in this group because this is their gap. And then you can teach directly to that skill gap. You do 10 lessons, you do a progress monitor, you do 10 more lessons, progress monitor, and then as kids move, as they gain the skills, it'll take them to another intervention path. And so it's very scripted and very diagnosed. Yeah, prescriptive, thank you.
Do they take the test even in kindergarten on computer, or is it an individual teacher?
It's
Like
mixed,
Dibbles
it's
used
both.
to- It's both, okay. Because when Dibbles was first being done, it was all direct, one person, one child conversation. I will say, I was fun to see the 2 different bills you brought up. 612 was one of mine, and so was Student Success Act. 612 was an interesting history in that a group of teachers in the Portland area, OEA members, went and got some training in how to work with dyslexic kids, and said it was the first time they'd ever been given skills to actually work with these kids, and it changed their lives. And they went to OEA and said, we need this bill that these parents are trying to form at the legislature. And so the teachers themselves got OEA to be supportive, which helped us get the bill through in 2015. But it was a big struggle because in colleges, they didn't believe that there was really dyslexia.
Right.
They just had learning disabilities. There was no, well, I'll tell you, parents don't believe that. And I think the test is in the pudding that we've actually seen stuff work again. But it was an interesting time in the legislature with those bills, and it was fun to see them out there.
And Kim, you came a couple of years ago and watched, I think it was here, when Millicombe was here for the year. I had
Yeah.
you came down and watched us do the screenings
I
with
was
the
just
kids.
gonna say that was one of the most insightful things. I loved seeing the kids in action. You can actually move their little nonsense words, and they were individualizing it, and you could see them. You know, and Gary would just talk about, you know, here's what they're working on, and it's one of my favorite times. Millicombe was here at the time, and I don't know if a teacher is able to do that with one of the board members, but that was so.
Yeah, I recommend going and watching the
Yes.
assessments. You'll be
The
happy.
only thing I've ever felt different about it is that you have a child that's very bright too in math. I mean, you can sometimes make kids that are really good that can sight read, just go ahead and read the book. It makes them go crazy, sitting there and having to go through this stuff, because that is not the way they read. And putting all kids through the same thing will help those of us that have dyslexia and give us a chance, but it doesn't necessarily build the love of reading that is necessary for some of these other kids. So that's the only thing I ever get upset about.
Yeah. One of the things we found though too is, and it's a take on what you're saying, is that the students that are able just to straight memorize words, they still need those rules, because at a certain point, they're going to max out on what they can memorize, and they're going to get into more difficult content, and the first time they see the word, they still need to be able to sound through it, because when they sound through it, they're like, oh, okay, I know what that word is. But until if they're not able to sound through it.
Yeah, and that's true with some, but there's a bunch of those kids that learn that out intuitively.
Yeah.
Really didn't need it. And I had one of those kids too, so it's always, that's the art of teaching,
It
is how do we make sure that kids get what they really need. Those of us who couldn't read until they were in 5th grade, we needed that.
And that's where, like, last year, we changed our intervention to called win time, what I need. And so we work a lot with our kids that have the skill deficits with the small group intervention. And then we try to steer the kids that are in the blues and greens towards novel studies and some of these other avenues that are going to try to build on the love of reading and their thirst for knowledge, while we're trying to, build and intervene. So it's kind of the intervention and the enrichment piece. So.
Are you keeping up with the high dosage tutoring? Is that still going?
As of right now, we have the funding to be able to do that, yes. We're trying to keep our groups as small as we can. When we lose funding, then we'll have to make some hard decisions. But I'm hoping that because of these numbers here, there'll be less students that we have to intervene on. And so it won't be as big of a problem as it was in the beginning.
But when you mentioned losing that funding, when does that come for another cycle? When that happen?
Probably, we'll lose a little bit of it sooner than later, and it will, if I'm remembering right, we'll probably lose the comprehensive literacy grant in a year. I think we have one more year. Does that sound?
We have two, 26, 27, and then 27, 28.
And then the early literacy grant is probably a little bit longer in CO. We don't foresee that that's going to fall off anytime soon.
And Dr. Rogowski, we're kind of in that. It's kind of like when we were applying for summer school grant. We've improved enough that, let's frame it this way, but we've improved enough that we're not a shoo-in anymore for some of these things. Like we were in the past, we were like, well, we fall in this category, we're going to get it. Well, now we've improved our scores enough that we're not for sure anymore, and so we're right on.
Grant funds to pay for TOSAs.
We're using them to pay for EAs, TOSAs, like to try to keep instruction there and numbers down in those intervention groups, because that's a big part of it.
Any other questions?
And we have summer school funding for 3 years set right now.
Great, thank you.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thanks, Chad.
Loved it.
We're on to
See you
public
in a little bit.
input. I don't see any public here to address us. So
Nobody
we
signed
will
up.
move on. Mr. Crook, it's your turn.
I'm gonna say why Mr. Crook's coming up. I saw him at a track meet. It was 83 degrees and he was in almost the same outfit. It was warm.
I'm a creature of consistency. But I'm gonna change it up a little bit today. No slideshow today.
Oh.
Okay, I'm gonna just read this thing for you. All right, so this year has been an interesting year as union president. I usually prefer to stay down in the basement and work to prepare students for what may come after graduation. However, this year I have been forced out of my comfort zone and pushed to do things I really don't like doing, such as going to meetings and speaking. This year has been very challenging for me, but I know that I'm getting better. I know that these things are causing growth for myself. I am getting a taste of my own medicine since I am consistently trying to push my students to get them out of their comfort zones to promote growth. I would like to take this moment to thank the board for listening to me at these meetings as I have stumbled through slides or just read them as fast as I possibly could. I would also like to thank David for giving me grace and patience, as I always seem to give him my slides in the last possible minute. But he still finds the time to get them in. I would also like to thank Michelle and Gary for sitting with Tracy Cates and I at our labor management meetings. I believe that we have some great conversations. I truly feel that we have done a great job working together to create solutions for the districts, even when our opinions don't necessarily align. It is all too easy for people to become defensive and combative towards each other when there's disagreements. But I do not believe that this has happened with us, and I appreciate that. After this school year is over, I hope to reflect on what went well and what could be improved upon. And I will try to make those necessary changes so I can continue to grow in this role. Thank you all, and I really appreciate what you do for our staff, students, and community.
Thank you, and thank you to your union members for everything you do for our school district and our students.
But I want to say as a member of the scholarship committee and knowing the people who interviewed our vocational students, you have pushed some of your kids in really great ways.
Yes.
A number of the interviewed first people came and said, this person and this person, this person happened to be all your kids going off to other schools. It was amazing. And they actually got to introduce one of them to a parent of one of those kids to say, your son is impressive. And they said, thank you for saying that. But I think their ability to speak in those interviews and do the kind and the goals that they could present to them came through your pushing of them in their homes. So I just want to say thank you. And some of them got $16,000 and $17,000 for the vocational scholarship.
They did really well.
Amazing.
Wow.
I think you've done great. You've done a great job in representing your union and getting up here and when you got the award, was that a year ago, 2 years ago, out in front of everybody. I mean, man, you've done a great job and you're continuing to do wonderful things in our school district. And I'm a hands-on learner, so I really appreciate getting to go to people's classrooms and seeing things in action and going to see your students working on, all of it. It's so cool. It's really neat, so keep doing great.
Don't let your son throw the javelin after the guy that throws it farther than anybody else in the country. It's not fair to put him right in that place.
That was always fun. Good learning experience.
That's right.
It's always next year.
Well, have a nice summer. Enjoy your time off. Are you going to be teaching summer school learning?
I am not. I am.
Then enjoy your summer off.
Well, I'll probably be in the shop. I got a lot of stuff to fix. And so I was able to go to nationals with 7 students, and I learned quite a bit there. And so I'm going to kind of overhaul my curriculum and kind of restructure some things to get them introduced to, like, for example, get them introduced to CNC equipment faster in their first year. Right now, they're getting access to it a little bit late. And so, are you guys familiar with like a CNC mill?
No.
No.
I
So
know
it-
CNC Music Factory.
So CNC just stands for Computer Numerical Control. It's a fancy way of basically you draw something in CAD, and then you create tool paths using CAM, and then you take it to a machine, zero everything out, and then it basically makes the part for you.
Like 3D?
Kind of, yes. It's like the opposite of a 3D print. 3D printing is additive manufacturing. CNC machining is deductive manufacturing. It removes material from the efficient one. And so a lot of students, when they finally get to the machine, they are afraid of it. And so my hope is to implement it at the very beginning of, or like during the first year, even if it's something as simple as just chucking up a marker and then giving them a piece of paper with like a maze on it, and they have to actually handwrite the code instead of just relying on the computer to do it all for them. And so they can handwrite the code to find out a way through the maze. So they have to zero everything out and then just draw it out that way. And if they break it, they're out of Sharpie instead of expensive tooling.
Right.
And just to kind of build that confidence in themselves and stuff like that. So little things like that, but I have to get all that stuff set up for them for next year. Should be fun.
Exciting times.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Bye, Kayla.
Bye, Kayla.
Hi.
Okay. Bree does not appear to be here this
No, she's
time.
here. She's on screen.
Oh, Bree!
I'm online today. Thank goodness for technology this year. I think I've used it more this year since during COVID. I have a slideshow put together. David, are you able to share it, or should I share it from my screen?
You can share it and then you can click through at your pace.
Okay. It'll take me just a minute.
No problem.
Make sure I share the right one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bree, while you're loading that, I want to acknowledge the number of students that I saw walking across the stage with beads during graduation.
The necklaces.
Yeah,
Yes, I had 21 students walking this year.
yeah, and they all looked very happy, so.
Thank you. Okay. I just have a short slide to kind of update some things this year, and then Glenn's speech made me think maybe I should have done something like that. I'm going to start texting him to see what he's doing before the board meetings. We held elections, but we didn't have to have formal elections because people did run unopposed. And so we will have a new board for our local Chapter 33 for OSEA. You guys will continue to see me for the 26-27 school year as president. Kate Hess, who is at Sunset, will be our vice president. Allison Bingham, who is at Madison School, will be our secretary. And Brenda Gesberg, who's up at the Milner Crest Education Center, will be our treasurer. And Ann Rodriguez Fuller will be our hospitality. And I just want to give a huge thank you to Amaryl and Shelley for all their hard work and time commitment that they put into Chapter 33 within the vice presidency and the hospitality roles that they were in. I couldn't do it without them. And then the fun part, Addie, since you mentioned graduation, I have to figure out how to go to the next slide when I have two screens. There we go. The fun part of being in the union is getting to award these scholarships. And so I know that we had mentioned their names, but it's always nice to put names and faces together. And so we got to give out 3 $1,000 scholarships. One to Lexi Eislein, who is a graduate at North Bend High School and is the grandchild of Val Eislein, who is an educational assistant at Milner Crest Education Center. And then we also had Mallory Ed, who is a graduate from MHS and is the child of Trevor Ed, who works in our tech department. And then Anna Lamons was a graduate from MHS, and she's a child of Anna Lamons, who works at Sunset as an educational assistant. So that's always exciting to see our kids And then for our retirees this year, you guys had already kind of did the retiree spiel this year, but to put faces to names in case you guys haven't met them before is Sherry Phillips, who's currently at Millicoma, and then Joe Vieira, who is at Marshall Junior High, though he is not retiring until September. And that is, what I have for you guys today, unless you guys have any questions.
How did you get Joe in the exact same shirt that he wore today? Did you take the picture today?
Well, I'm not allowed to drive yet, but I texted somebody else and asked them to get pictures for me.
Okay, I was like,
There you go.
we're the exact same thing.
Kim, I have my resources.
That's pretty good.
Okay, are there any questions for Kim? Nope. Kim, thank you very much for all you did this year. Bree.
Thank you guys. Have a great evening.
Have a great one.
Who was I saying?
Kim, I do it all the time.
Yeah.
Me too.
You did talk. Okay. Now we are on to Marina and the business office updates.
Thank you. Tonight I'll keep it pretty much informational only since I had it for you guys last week. But does anyone have any questions on the check listing outside of the two rather significant Lighthouse School payments I wanted to address? There was one, it was the first check for almost $572,000. That is their May adjustment. So we pay them a set percentage all year of the projected amount. And then in May, we pay out the remainder of that. In case ADM or the charter school rate changes significantly. But then later on, there was another significant amount of about $170,000. That is their portion of the SIA grant that they send us an invoice for and we pay and claim on our end. It's the only one left now that we have to invoice and pay out. And hopefully OPE will handle that where they handle their own. But other than that, there was not any abnormal checks. Does anyone have any questions?
On the Granger, I've seen that one forever. What actually is that for?
For Granger, let me see if I can.
It's been on them forever. I kind of thought it would disappear at some point, but it's still showing up. So I wouldn't know.
It is likely, I'm just seeing if I can pull it up.
It's a maintenance thing.
Yeah, I want to say it's maintenance equipment, but I can't verify that. I can get that for you.
Yeah, because that person's been on the list.
I think
It's
it's
a company.
WW Granger. It's a company.
Okay.
Yep. I think it's for like equipment service for one of our machines, but
The greenskeepers at Fannin Dunes use that a
Yeah.
lot.
Okay.
So there were two checks, both for more than 20,000 to a shirt.
Yeah.
Is that just like a yearly fill up of oil tank somewhere that heats a building, or what is that?
yes, Bassett Highland got purchased. So it's just the new name of what we used to call BHEC, which is the Bassett Highland. And so we have propane tanks and oil tanks all throughout the district, and probably two just came available for refill.
Maybe this is a question for Gary or just for in general. I noticed that when we get work done from an architecture standpoint, it often goes to HGE, and when we get work done from a legal standpoint, often goes to the Hungerford law firm. How does that work? When we have those relationships, what happens when there's a second architecture firm in town that wants our business? Right? Like I said, just as a public entity, how are those relationships managed?
Yeah, that's a great question. So GHR, we do an RFP for legal services for the school district. They put in a bid at our last RFP process, and they are every year voted on by the board as the attorney of record because of that RFP, and they won the contract. And that can go out for an RFP at any point, but the RFP is typically about 5 years long, where they guarantee a rate. As for the architect, because we typically do not do work of the amount through the architect that's above the threshold to require an RFP, we've used HGE Because they've been with the district for so long that they have all of our historical documentation, and it has been more cost effective to continue to use them if they have all of the past records. We have used others in the past, if, you know, they specialize in something, but for the most part, HG has all of our historical data.
So for example, Dr. Gowski, we had a facility issue, item at facilities committee in Marshall Gymnasium. And HG is like, well, we pulled the file from 1992 and looked and said, you know, this is the company used in Tualatin in 1992 to do the roof trusses. And they're still available, they're still in business and they still do this thing. So we're going to contact them about, you know, so they have all of our files from either Arnie as far back.
I think forever.
I think ever
Yeah,
since they.
I'm not necessarily questioning that, I just as a public body was
Yeah, you're
curious.
right.
Just until, because we're gonna, you know, use those companies. We
Yeah.
have to have a good
And-
reason to use it.
And then the Hungerford specialized in special education law. So that's where we use the Hungerfords, and the Hungerfords are also our backup when we are in a situation where another entity also uses GHR. So there's attorney, there's conflict, right?
Yeah.
So the Hungerfords are our backup.
So it's dictated by procurement rules and when an RFQ is required. And so that's how we determine that as public funds.
So do we have procurement rules and policy, or those?
We do, and we reference the administrative regulations.
Right.
Because those amounts change sometimes regularly. And so depending on the cost of the work or the potential impact of the work, such as legal services, could be pretty significant. We do require that you go out for bid.
Is there an amount that you can not go out for a bid, go under it?
Last I checked, it was $150,000 for those kind of services, which is why, like for student, Sodexo, for large contractors, we're required to get bid.
Because I was wondering about the BNT. If those are fairly low amounts, so you don't have to go out for bid for any of those things, you just get to choose.
And we tend, as much as possible, we go with a local district, a local entity to keep the public funds in our. Any other questions? Okay, we will move on to special revenue funds. It is pretty busy in the special revenue funds at this point in the year because we're trying to send out as much of our grants as possible for the June 30th fiscal year end date. So just the final in all these little purple boxes, the little bottom purple amount is kind of the fund balance with all expensed and encumbered year to date. You'll see a lot of them at this point having negative fund balance. And that's because those are the reimbursement grants that every month we have to identify what we've expensed, report that to ODE, and then clean that down. Some of our bigger grants are now disbursement, so we get a lot of money up front and then we pay all year. Those are things like High School Success and SIA. But most of our grants are still reimbursement, which is why you see such significant negative balances. I try and do them monthly, but sometimes do them every month. Does anyone have any questions on grants or special revenue funds?
So for instance, Little Pirates, you're not negative, but you also, that's a biennium grant, right? So you can.
Are you looking at Preschool Promise Fund 209 or Little Pirates Preschool? Okay, so that is our tuition our tuition fund.
Okay.
So we bill $300 a month for 18 slots that are over the income cap. And so that's where all of that money goes.
Okay.
And we have begun using it to pay for one EA.
Gotcha.
Which is why there's a balance in there.
Right, gotcha.
You've been holding on to that money since Little Pirates started.
Yeah.
Any other grant questions? Okay. I do want to apologize that I don't have financials for you for May. The board meeting being on the 9th, we didn't get our bank statements until Friday, and then my staff member who does bank statements is gone today. So I wasn't able to get that completed for you guys, but when she's here, she'll get it done, and then I'll email those out to you all and David and provide any feedback. As for May enrollment, let's go to June enrollment. It's June 1st enrollment. That'll be the final enrollment that I pull for the year. And what I find most telling in June is when I compare it to two last Junes board report, because that really tells us where we're ending in ADM. Because at the beginning of the year, we start significantly higher, but things change all during the year. So this is the closest to ADM that we will claim. This is kind of what I use to track budget to budget. What percentage of what I budgeted actually attended June to June. So in the far bottom right-hand corner, I added 2 new boxes that say June to June comparison. The left column is the actual ADM comparison from June of 2025 to June of 2026. You'll see there's a significant decrease actually at Eastside. They have reduced 33 students from last June to this June. Madison had a reduction of 6 students, Millicoma 18, Sunset 7, the junior high 31, and then MHS 15. This is pretty in line for that 60 ADM that we say we're approximately losing each year. But you'll also see there's a 220 jump in online. Because of our synergy practices, it is really still hard for me to identify who's being coded where. And I'm working over the summer to really get a report I can pull out of there. But it's significantly higher, and some of these students are where we're losing.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see when
Yeah.
you get that coded in a way
Yeah,
that
I
helps you.
Even next June, I think you'll give us a really, really good idea of where students really truly are, even if they're moving in our system. Yeah, it's really incredible. One thing to note is AYA, the very bottom row, they are down 17 from last June, which I find to be really interesting. I don't know the reason for that, but they're down almost 43% of their enrollment. And so we want to speak with Scott Cooper and really identify where some of these students are going. That's pretty significant. Destinations, because the board goal was to expand online, you'll see destinations increased 8, which was 16%, and then Resource Link increased 2, which is about 5.5% of their enrollment. So good news, I think, all around. This is pretty on par for what we projected in the budget, and that online number gives me hope that what we are doing is working, and I hope to see that grow, and that we have teachers to help that grow. Does anyone have any questions on enrollment? Thank you.
Thank you.
How does our online offering compare to just other offerings in the region? Coquille, North End, and other.
It's really hard to compare because like Coquille they have Winter Lakes, which is a standalone school. North Bend has Evergreen Virtual, which is a standalone. There's no cross enrollments like we allow with hybrid schools. I'm going to Seaside to a conference, the annual COSA conference next week, and one of the sessions I'm going to is Silver Falls School District, which is up by Silverton. They have hybrid online, a system that appears on paper to be pretty similar to ours, and I'm going to go spend an hour in that session learning about what they do, what they're doing, and how they're cross kind of enrolling and how things are going. I'm also going to go visit Estacada School District, which has a virtual school, an online component, and a hybrid component. So I'm going to go visit Ryan Carpenter this summer too, and have some conversations with him. Because, for example, today I was in our new superintendent's forum, and the superintendent from Ben Lapine was messaging me on the side as I was talking about online and saying, what are you guys doing? How are you doing this? How are you having kids in multiple buildings? And wants to talk. So we're, I think, kind of a little bit of a trendsetter, but we also still are a work in progress when it comes to how we code kids and how we identify them and move them around the system. So, but on the South Coast, we're the only one of its kind that has students that are cross enrolling into the buildings, going hybrid options or online options.
And is it, we have a systematic way of trying to let people across the South Coast know that, because from what I can tell, what I've heard in these meetings is if we can increase our online enrollment, if we can be the place on the South Coast that people choose to enroll online, that would be financially beneficial to the district.
Yes, and we, David and I and Kayla have been working on those branding documents. We weren't quite ready to present them tonight, but they're going to be presented at some point. I'm hoping to get them to you before the fall, just take a peek at them, and then we can go over to board meeting. But we have some branding documents we're going to do for Milner Crest itself, for our online programs, and our alternative ed programs. And so that'll allow families to see online, like, here's what we're offering, here's the contact, here's how it can benefit you. I know, like I said, I've met with some of our homeschool family resources in the community. I'm working on getting them those documents. But I think branding for our district is a good way to get that out to families in the region. But I'll also tell you, Myrtle Point is adding an online component, as is Bandon. And so there's going to be more and more online offerings that are going to be around. But I think the more that we can continue to talk about, like, our Acellus program for K-8, our AP offerings that we can do online and things of that nature, the ability to cross enroll, still possibly offer some CT courses on campus, the more beneficial it will be to us to enroll.
For ADM, it's about 10 students. It equates kind of the salary and cost of one teacher, but the caseload for an online teacher is 35.
Yeah, yes, 35 at the K-8, and then it's 135.
Yeah, it's high. So it's like if we even get 10, it will pay for that teacher, but if we can get all the way up to 35, it's now paying for that teacher, plus keeping more supports in our buildings or expanding support to the online program, not just a teacher. It is highly beneficial financially to have an online program, but also highly beneficial to our region.
And legislatively, there may be coming some changes to how they fund online schools. Not for their benefit.
Well, I mean, this is clearly sort of a mistake in the way that schools are funded. Where, I mean, it's the same kind of thing that you can get prescription drugs for free, because the reason you get prescription drugs for free is what the drug company has realized is that they can take the money from your insurance and they can give the portion, they can write off the portion for you as a tax break. It's stuff like that. Right?
Well, and really
that's what they're doing with these online schools that are trying to enroll everybody in the state is we'll give you part of the money to come enroll with us, and we'll keep the rest.
And where
we shouldn't do that.
But where they've looked at it is they've looked at universities like Grand Canyon and Western Governors and some of those universities that are for-profit universities, and they've learned kind of the system of, hey, if we undercharge them by $2,000 a term, there's not a campus to run now. Grand Canyon has a campus now, but I mean, the costs of associated with that are so small that they can afford these breaks. We were seeing that like TSPC when I was on the commission as an elementary principal. They were talking about the new reading literacy components now that are in the Oregon University systems for teacher prep programs. And we were talking about this as a commission and saying, hey, it's great that you've added this literacy component and this science of reading requirement, but we're seeing more and more teachers that are coming out of state schools like Western Governors and Grand Canyon. They're not getting that. Now we have to go back and do this requirement. So how are we going to do that? Because originally it was just, we'll just put it in the teacher prep programs in the Oregon University system and that'll take care of it. So no, it's not going to. So anyways, Arnie's right. There's going to be, I think, a lot of changes next year. I think it's going to start with the schools that are offering either just cash incentives or send us this and we'll reimburse you. I think some of those are going to be talked about and dealt with first, and then I think it's going to trickle down to, will schools get full ADM or will they get partial ADM?
But I suspect that a well-run program like ours that is hybrid and run the way ours would is not in the crosshairs the same way.
That was what was talked about. I was in a COSA meeting today, and that was discussed was, how do we address the issues without harming the school districts that are doing it the right way? So I think that's going to be a big conversation. All right. June board report. I'm going to try to do it without my readers on. Here we go. Just want to go over, tonight we're going to talk a lot about goals. Just a real quick overview of the goals that I had, the 4 goals from the board this year. Just a reminder, raising the academic expectations, long-term alt-ed plan and priorities. The reason I'm kind of skipping is I'm going to go into a little bit more depth here in a moment. Investigating and establishing the need for the additional programs in Coos Bay School District, and administering Louise community and student surveys, focusing on climate and student voice, and then reporting those back to the board. Goal 1, raising the academic expectations and the outcomes of the district with alignment to the state accountability metrics. Got some data for us. 3rd grade, our DIBEL scores, our end of the year assessment is 57% at or above grade level. And I should pull this up because I have notes in one of these that I want to. So now I am going to put my readers on. And our OSAS scores are going to be released in October, but as I said earlier, our OSAS scores as a district are higher than they have been, at least going back and looking at about 10 years. Not official, unofficial, just me digging in and reading them and looking at them. I'm excited for when they come out. I think we're going to be on par with the state average, which we haven't been in a long time, and continuing to build off of it. So I'm pretty excited. Savvas Math, right now we're at 42% at or above benchmark. That's about a 35% increase of where we were at the beginning of the year. Chad, correct me if I'm wrong, because I always get this mixed up with DIBELS, but Savvas, when you do the beginning of the year, you're actually being assessed on the end of the year standards, correct? So it's expected to be major changes because you're assessing end of the year assessments at the beginning, end of the year standards at the beginning of the year. So you expect that growth. We still have a ways to go, obviously, to where we want to be. And then our OSAS scores for math will be released in October. Seeing great growth in 3rd and 4th grade OSAS scores in math, which I think is a product of having the same curriculum for the last 2 years with Savvas and some of the things that go with Savvas. I think when you look, obviously, at math, just like with reading, the older the student gets, the further behind, the harder it is to catch up. I think over historical, you're going to start to see that bump now go to 5th grade and then to 6th and 7th and 8th. So I think while we'll continue to intervene and do our best, I think we're 3 or 4 years away to start seeing those math scores really jump on the state report part of the junior high level. 9th grade on track. This is completely unofficial, getting the data from the high school. Obviously, there's still 2 days left too for kids to make things up. Right now, we're sitting at about 83%. We still have 2 days for kids to make stuff up. Then summer school, so we expect that to go up. I believe last year we were 81% on the state report card, which was a growth. So stay tuned. We've talked about in next summer in 2027 having an 8th grade to freshman transition class. Now that our summer school grant is funded and we're solid for the next 3 years, to try to help get our kids better ready in that transition from 8th to 9th grade year. Our 4-year graduation, 5-year completion rate, there's just no way to measure that right now compared to what ODE is going to give us in October. Part of that reason is we have students that have left us over the years, and while we think that they were enrolled in other schools, unless we get a records request, we don't know that for sure. When we went and looked at last year's data and we're cleaning it up, we found some kids that never had enrolled even at Marshfield. They left between their 8th grade and freshman year. We never got a records request. So, or we did in some cases, and we just haven't taken them off the books. That's part of the data cleanup we do over the summer. So, K2 attendance and overall attendance, again, not official, but we're about 66% K2, slight increase from last year, and 63% overall. That's a 3% increase from last year. Again, not official. One of the reasons that, we talked about that local metric of post-secondary readiness, this is a big reason for it. Dual credit, we had 352 total enrollments, dual credit. Now, some of those could be kids that are enrolled in multiple dual credit classes, so not 352 students, but 352 enrollees. earn about 2,400 college credits this year. And expanded options, those are the kids that actually went to SWAC for a class. That was at 352 total credits. AP tests taken this year, we had 424 tests taken by 308 students. So pretty impressive numbers for us at Marshfield High School. In our spring SAT results, we had 23 students that tested for spring SAT. We were 11 points higher than the state average and 128 points higher than the national average. So those are some of the reasons why we're choosing to use the post-secondary readiness for the first metric for us in terms of those ODE local, that ODE local. I really do think, as Chad thinks, at some point there's going to be an elementary local metric and a secondary local metric. I think that's going to happen at some point. That the interim assessments are going to be a mandatory local metric, and then they're going to let you add one of the secondary ones. But stay tuned, we'll see. Some of the things that we've done to prepare for next year, we've revised the teacher, the educator certified and administrator evaluation. We've established that Coos Bay School District attendance team and looked at those protocols like I've talked about. We're going to continue to expand advanced math options and opportunities for students. We're going to continue moving students from Millicoma and Sunset over to the junior high for math opportunities and maybe even possibly science, depending on numbers. And we are also looking at continuing to enroll students in expanded math classes as they are in the junior high working up towards the high school. We also have our math block at the 3-6 level so students can more easily adapt and move up a math class as needed. We've implemented the Writing Revolution at grades 3-6. Next year's year 2 of that. Writing Revolution helps build writing skills, and I think that was an area as we were looking at state testing last year, we were seeing that more students were passing in the comprehension part and the reading part. The writing part was a huge struggle for us. I think that's also part of those 3rd and 4th grade gains is the combination of our Amplify work and the Writing Revolution. K2 is going to be doing a book study next year on the Writing Revolution with working for implementation of that program within their building coming up here. Over the next few years. We're going to continue working with our secondary groups on priority standards, proficiency-based grading through First Education. And then we're going to continue to push our strong dual credit advanced placement opportunities, which in talking with Eli, we cannot find another 4A high school. LeGrand might be the one that offers as many dual credit opportunities as we do. The fact that our location near SWAC is gold for us. And I know LeGrand's got really impressive things going with their partnership with Eastern Oregon University, but we're in a really unique place right now, and we're doing some great things. So, pretty happy about it. My KPI goals for 2028, if you remember, I plan to have 6 of these by the end of this year, and all of them by the end of 2028. I'm going to continue to refine and work on these as we get into our student partnership as well. But right now, I know that we have 3 that we can check off the box. Our CTE concentrators, we're at 40%. We don't offer enough CTE programs right now to get to 50%. We're at 40% for what we offer, our 5 programs. We've looked at, and I'll talk a little bit about where we want to expand CTE when finances will allow us to. In terms of that reading proficiency, we're up at like 60 in terms of DIBELS. We're at 60%-ish for our elementaries. We'll continue to grow that number each year. And we're going to continue to hammer away at these things until we get as many of them accomplished. Goal 2 for long-term alternative ed planning and priorities. If you remember, Kayla and I presented that back in March. And our alternative education programs, Destinations, Coos Bay Online Resource Link, Little Pirates are continuing to meet the expectations and expansion. 87% graduation rate, almost 88 at Destinations, and 92% completion of our Coos Bay Online. Our enrollment in alternative ed continues to increase. We're going to continue to ask kids what they want, what we can provide. We know, for example, at some point, if we want to quit losing kids to Winter Lakes, we've got to find a way to do cosmetology in alternative ed. If we can ever figure out a way to get the heavy equipment simulator and the aviation simulator at the secondary level, that's going to help us too. So we know that those things are out there. It's just going to become funding and people that can be involved in the instruction of those items. Our key drivers, as we spoke to back when we presented, the mental health needs, flexibility, scheduling, credit recovery, learning environment. We talked about the effectiveness of what we've been doing to serve teen parents. And our recommendations were strengthening existing programs, expanding tier 3 supports, evaluating the Madison pilot program, which we are now going to expand to do our other K-6 buildings for next year. That was that pilot program for our students that are our most striving behavioral students, using the Acellus online program mixed with our SEL components. We've saw a lot of great growth. Carly's going to talk about that in her data presentation at the end of June. And then we're looking to expand that, like I said, into the other K-6 buildings for next year and pilot it there. And then continuing to monitor our enrollment trends and explore regional partnerships that we've talked about. Goal 3, investigate and establish new programs. Currently, we have 5 CTE pathways: manufacturing, broadcast, journalism, culinary arts, construction, computer science. We have 10 in-person AP courses and 18 available online AP courses. And we're sitting at next year going into 25 dual credit classes. Eli and I have already been talking about ways to expand dual credit classes. We're looking at things about, ceramics, for example. All those things that kids can take and transfer and make it a better opportunity to earn that AAOT when they graduate. Ceramics is a class we offered at the high school, advanced ceramics. If we can get that as a dual credit class, that checks off one of the boxes for the AAOT for the arts, fine arts, and electives. So looking at outside the box ways that we can offer those programs at Marshfield High School, we're going to continue to expand. We've added 2 more math dual credit classes for next year. One of them I know will meet Math 105, and I can't remember the other one. I don't think it's Statistics 250. I think we already have that one. But there's one other one that we're going to add in the fall. So credit to Eli and his team. They keep finding ways to take our high school classes and convert them into dual credit options as well for our students. And it's going to just continue to pay dividends more and more for our kids, saving money. Even though next year we think right now we may have 1 or 2 kids with AAOTs, we're going to have hundreds of graduates next year, though, that are going to have advanced. They're going to have enough college credits to at least say they're through their first year. So engagement opportunities, we have 34 clubs, about 28 sports and activities. We're going to continue to pursue grants and pilot partnerships to reestablish after-school programs. For example, Carly right now and I are working on we presented it to Marina and had her take a look, a group called Champions that came and spoke to Carly. They're running an after-school program currently at Hillcrest, and they're looking to expand into Coos Bay schools. Carly's talked about piloting this program next year. It is a cost to families. It's not a free program, but it does fly 3 hours of after-school programming around STEM, reading, math, as well as movement activities, 3 hours a day after school for $80 a month. So that's a pretty reasonable opportunity. We're looking at that, and I'm going to bring that opportunity to you guys at our August meeting after we check a few more boxes and look into it a little bit more. But from what we've received in terms of references and things like that, it's a state program. Hillsborough School District has it, Beaverton. And then, like I said, Hillcrest has been doing it, and they're looking at expanding into Coos Bay. Carly's offered up the space to try it, see if we like it, and we're going to look at expanding it at least to have a west side option and an east side option. And then possible expansion, CTE. We want to get our health occupations back. We lost that when a teacher left us last summer. We want to get that program back going for health occupations. We feel really bad that we had some students that were close to becoming a concentrator and we had to disband it because of a lack of staffing. We also want to look at early childhood education. We have several elementary folks that have the TSPC endorsement that they can be site coordinators for early childhood education opportunities. We just need to get the early childhood development and the child psych classes at Marshfield, check those boxes to pass them on to the elementaries to work in that setting and become CTE concentrators. EY is also pursuing at the state level a way that our junior ROTC program could be a CTE program because of military science and those kids going down that avenue. That junior ROTC is a 4-year program. We feel like it should be a CTE program of study, and so we're working on that as well.
What do you need for the health occupations? What person qualification do you need to make that?
We need somebody that has the advanced. It was spacing is now the basketball. It was Doug Miles. That was our health occupations person. And you need to have a 3 classroom sequence. And Doug was the one that taught the third one. I'll get more information from UI. I'll have UI chat with you because it would be great to get that program back. There was wasn't anatomy and physiology, but there was a health component, and then there was another class, and they went on to Doug for the concentrator. So I'm gonna have UI get a hold of you for the more specific.
I know some people in healthcare.
Yeah, you do. You do.
Somebody's working our
If somebody's looking for a job, I don't want to steer them that way.
And then in talking with students about activities and athletics that they'd like to see, we're working on possibly junior high cheer and dance in the fall. Because of the generosity of the Coos Bay Community Schools Foundation, we have a new high school cheer mat. And so we're looking at passing our cheer mat from the high school to the junior high, which is the most expensive cost when it comes to cheer. And then finding an advisor and doing junior high cheer dance to try to expand and provide more opportunities for our kids. Girls flag football has been an OSA emerging sport. It is going to be crossing over into being an actual OSA sport come very soon. The numbers are there. So we're going to be we'll have girls flag football next spring. That's going to happen. As a matter of fact, I'm actually, all the administrators want to coach girls flag football. Mr. Montiel, Mr. McCord, they're all chomping at the bit. We have a lot of people that want to coach girls flag football next fall, or next spring, excuse me. They've all been coming to me and begging. And then we've had an interest from kids to start a sailing program. They've talked to Mr. McCord about a sailing program, either down at the marina or out at the yacht club at 10 Mile Lake. We're looking into it. We're not going to. What's that?
No boats out there.
We're not going to be able to purchase any boats.
No, they have. Club has boats.
The club has boats. So okay, so
Sailboats?
This has come up in the last week or two when I was talking with Casey and I said, hey, what do we got? He's like, man, I've got all these kids talking to me about sailing. I'm looking into it. I'll get back to you. So we could be looking at a sailing club.
My junior high granddaughter is in the sailing team at her, not Eleanor, for middle school.
Really?
The other one's on the crew.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a crew team at our.
So stay tuned for that. And then that after-school program, that champion program pilot that we're looking at over at Madison, I'm going to bring you guys information on in the fall when I've got a little bit more time to investigate. And then the last goal 4 is administering at least 2 community and student-based surveys focusing on climate, student voice. I mean, we've done so many things to get both the voice of our students first. We had this superintendent advisory committee, which was great. It was such a fantastic endeavor. We had our last meeting last Wednesday, did some donuts, had some of the older kids talk to the younger kids, advice. We had them give me advice for what I should do over the summer. And then we have our student success committee led by David, which we brought you that data earlier this year about how they felt about technology and cell phones and opportunities, how safe they feel in school. We're going to continue that practice going into next year. I feel like the town halls, even though at times have been low in numbers, it's a starting point. We'll continue to build off of them. I want to make sure that we have one opportunity a month for the community that I can get in front of them, that they can come and talk with me, whether it's in the morning or the evening. And then we have done, I think, a really good job this year in terms of my superintendent solutions, meeting with staff. We've changed, bell schedule around advisories. We've heard about student behaviors. Just this last week, we were at the junior high and they talked to us about our synergy component and how we can do different dispositions for student behaviors and synergy. I brought that to the admin team today and said, hey, look at this. This is a really good document put together by the junior high team. So I think it's offered great opportunity to get staff voice. Looking ahead, I'm excited for our partnership with Studer Education, developing our strategic plan, which we are going to hear from them in July and then start to build that in the fall. The creation of our district and school report cards to improve the accountability, transparency, and our student outcomes. So I feel like that's an area this year that we've been above and beyond just those 2 survey and evaluate. Survey, excuse me. Holy smokes, it's Monday. And then celebrations, kind of to wrap up. First of all, just again, happy retirement to our folks that some of them were in attendance tonight. Such a great deal. We've got a lot of retirees this year, and wish them really well in their next endeavor. Hopefully several will be around to help sub or supply some mentorship and things of that nature. And then, graduations. Obviously, Milner Crest Education Center was Saturday the 30th, and that was a great ceremony. And then Marshfield High School just this last Saturday, also a really great opportunity, great speeches in both by the students. I thought Mr. King did a fantastic job, the high school social studies teacher, as did Mr. Ashton, and just a great experience. Yes, and Arnie, awesome job as well.
Ashton needs to get in the mic more.
Mr. Ashton does? I'll let him know.
He needs to what?
He didn't mic more.
Just needs a,
Yeah.
he
On
needs
the
to
uppers, back
practice
where my wife
with the
was, that none of them could hear.
Said it's hard, yeah, okay, okay. We'll chat with him, we'll make sure next year.
He just needs to practice.
Yeah, a
It's
little
up there.
slower.
Yeah, you did go fast. A lot of standing with that, so, but a great ceremony, really
Yeah, it was
great.
really great.
Wonderful, it's awesome. So thank you, everybody who were a part of one or both of those.
And it's great recognition to all those kids that get to stand into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Any questions? My next step with my superintendent goals is, it was mentioned to take it and make them into a dashboard. And I've shared a little bit of that with Mady, who made the suggestion, and we're going to continue to have some conversations. I got kind of a template that I built in a Google spreadsheet that eventually will turn into some images on the website of a goal dashboard hopefully before we get to the end of June into the summer.
That's,
Quick turn.
it's ambitious.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are beautiful, beautiful slides and so much exciting work on them. And one of the things I really want to be able to do is remember everything from meeting to meeting. And because as we haven't quite sorted out a technique that allows us to read just to see past, current, and future, you end up telling us a lot, which means I would have to take notes, which I don't have time to do. And so I'm really looking forward to working out a way that we can track a lot of the things that you've talked about many times in the same format. So there's more time for us to ask questions about the new information that you're giving us, and you can let us and expect us to read for ourselves, and keep up with the data that you're presenting, because it's all so good. And I want to be able to really take responsibility for what I feel like my role is, which is to understand it and ask questions about. You just touched on a few things that I would ask questions about, but there's not really time. And so I'm looking forward to working on that.
Sure, absolutely. Any other questions? All right.
Questions,
Thank you
feedback?
for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Dubasar.
Okay, here we go. Loma and his team over facilities have been going full throttle, getting the grounds mowed, getting ramps set out, and all the little details to make our graduation ceremony happen. They went around even with painting spots where there was some graffiti here and there. So the family showed up, looked real nice and pretty. They've been working really hard on doors. Doors are really expensive, so if they can fix them, they can. If they can't, they're really expensive. And this summer, it's Sunset's going to get new paint on their parking lines at Sunset. Milner Crest is going to get an additional classroom. It was some kind of other part of the building. It's going to get turned into a classroom. They're going to take out some old kitchen stuff and put a new kitchen sink in. The Marshfield High School auditorium is going to get a new curtain right there, so everyone will enjoy that. And let's see. On the second floor of Marshfield, they're going to be getting a staff room, so I'm sure everyone's going to be really excited about having a place to have a pit stop. The main gym has a possible truss that may need repaired or replaced, and so HG&E and Loma and some engineers are trying to figure out if it's going to be a repair or replaced, and so they're just collecting data right now. See where we're at on that. 35 new water features throughout the school district. Something to do with the lead count is higher than what we've been doing, so these will take care of that. That's gonna stress everybody out,
We passed all of our lead
Yeah.
inspections, but
Yeah, I
these,
remember though.
these
that
fixtures
discussion.
though are a little bit, they do a better job of filtering as well.
And we got a grant from Motive to
Yes.
cover most of the costs.
And then the MHH track, Loma's secured 3 days of them to come in and do as much as they can get done. So it's gonna be repairs, there's some bubbles, high spots, trip spot hazards. And then, that'll be 3 days. Loma's taking bids on the sprinklers, if someone out in the community, they install sprinklers, a softball field, he's taking bids on that. And then the district is in the process of building a new vault, and I'm not authorized to comment anymore because it's top secret.
It's not top secret. It's in my office.
Boy, you were good.
It's just fire.
She was not in the military.
No,
Oh,
we legally have to keep our truck stop in a
Fireproof.
fireproof room.
yeah.
Right now, all of our trucks are in a concrete room in our old office in a different building, so every time we need more truck backstop, we have to go interrupt and on their dress. So they're gonna.
You have a nice one up in the high school.
Yeah, I know, we have a vault up there too, but for like records.
So if anybody breaks into it, it's not my fault.
Because you didn't
I did
tell
not
where it was.
disclose the
No, you
location
didn't.
or anything about it.
She hasn't told us where it's at.
She did.
They're
No,
on
it's not in
YouTube.
mine, it's
Rewind.
not access to mine, but it is public record.
Okay. Okay, David, policies?
Yeah, first off, is there any prospective policies you would like the committee to review? Awesome. So I have a few first reading for adoption. You'll notice the first one, BBAA. It's a new version, so we'll be deleting the old one. Sometimes they update them, sometimes the updates are so immense that they say just delete the old one and take the new one. That's the case here. BD is a new policy that does relate to you all. It's board meetings, notices, and communication, so we will have a policy on that, should you guys choose to adopt this. Integrated pest management, that is a required policy. We did a few updates. Most of these updates were prompted by OSBA, and then I've separated out the ones that weren't. Veterans and state service member preference, it's just adding that state service member.
That's a good question. So that one links to the communicable diseases, not to the,
Oh, does it?
yeah, so I didn't, I wasn't able to, maybe I could have found it, but I wasn't able to find.
It does.
Yeah. I will send out the link for that one and then update it on the minutes as well. And if you have any questions about it, please let me know. And
I did have a question about the integrated pest management. It says that we have to have somebody who is designated as our like plan coordinator.
that's Loma.
That's Loma.
Yep.
It also says that he has to attend 6 hours of training about pests every year.
And he does do that.
Okay.
There's a conference.
And this, and he's got all kinds of certifications.
Oh, yeah.
No, but is that like a standard that we have to, that is law? And that it's not a policy we could say you don't have to do 6 hours?
And our staff have to take the same integrated pest management training every August.
To acknowledge it.
It's not 6 hours.
No, that's not 6 hours, but it's me.
No, oh, I'm thinking about the, the 30 hours a year or whatever of HIPAA and other type of, like, sometimes these trainings are so long and so redundant and they're every so year, but the law is the law.
We hear every year from staff, is there a way that we could take the like, we just take the test and if we pass it, then we don't have to do the training again and again and again?
Our insurance agent.
Our insurance. So, yeah, so we at the beginning of the year, we have what we call vector trainings.
And the only time, it's really important, when that kid is allergic to something we sprayed on the field, and the parents go ballistic, and then they go ballistic.
Yeah, and it's a $10,000 fine.
That's right.
It's huge.
That's right.
And we've had some scenarios, especially coming out of COVID, where we had some kids that had allergies to the Suprex and some of the sprays we were using to disinfect the desk, and we had to go to other avenues.
Right.
And with a lot of families that were very thankful when we were coming out of it. It's like, oh, okay, this isn't work, we're going this direction. So, but yeah, it's vector training that we do as a staff every year, including me. It's probably 8 hours, six hours.
At the state,
Vector training is roughly 8 hours.
Yeah.
We pay for 8 hours.
All
But
right.
it gives us a really good discount on it.
Then we have sexual harassment policy. They're duplicate policies because they're in 2 separate spots. They're exactly the same except for the title. Then we have that one I mentioned for deletion that we'll be replacing. Then these next ones are around our IDP process, admission of non-resident students and its associated AR. These were not changes prompted by OSBA. These were changes prompted by the district, by us, to better improve our process and add a little more clarity. And then I've linked a communication that we hope to send out to our families and post on the website that we wanted to run past you first, that discusses, because our policy has always said that we can waitlist and that we'll use an equitable lottery process, but it didn't really allow, we've never done it since I've been here. We've just kind of accepted them. And as we have a better system for tracking IDTs and we're actually setting numbers and we're reaching limitations in certain schools, we wanted to make sure that we were transparent with our families so that they know what to expect. So I've updated the website and I posted in bright colors are the numbers you guys approved. And I've noted if there's a wait list for those grades. So they can go right on there when they look at the form and say, oh, 7th grade, I'm going to expect a wait list. And then this will help them understand what that is. And this will be posted on the website as well. As far as the equitable lottery process, I did a little research from other districts, and without exception, every person I talk to, it's a name in a hat or a bowl.
Yeah.
Right? That's how, I think we'll probably do it digitally, but it amounts to the same thing. So what we chose to go with in this policy is, I believe, what Corvallis does. Because the question for me was, well, our policy also says that some students have preference. Well, how is that preference applied in an equitable lottery process? So how they do it is students with preference get first available seats. Once students with preference, as noted in our policy, are not in the applicant pool anymore, then it goes to the equitable lottery. But that's how they apply the preference, rather than you get 2 names in a hat because you have a sibling, and you get 3 because you have a sibling and you went to Lighthouse. You know, so that's how we determined would be best for our district to do it, and that's what's reflected in the policy.
So it's a true preference.
It's a true preference.
So, and it's not there's no time on the wait list as part of it. So,
What do you mean?
So a lot of wait lists, the longer you're on the wait list, the more likely you are to be selected. So that would not be part of this.
No, and I kind of looked into that because I thought first come, first serve. You know, you are the first name in, but that doesn't jive with the equitable, because some people are, as soon as we open IDTs, maybe they don't have to work, and so they can sit there and be the first person there, and it's not equitable to other families that can't apply until 12 p.m. or 12 a.m. So I thought the same thing, but that's why it's set up that way.
2 different families, they both have a kid on the wait list at the same grade level. And you only have 1 opening. Who do you give it to?
Then we would probably lottery those.
Those 2.
I think, yeah, if we reach the same situation with those of preference, there's 2 seats and we have 4 people, then we'll lottery those 4 first. So that's kind of where we're at and what we want to let families, because I have a number of families that are kind of waiting in the wings. but we wanted to run this past you first and make sure we were all in kind of agreement that we communicate with families and let them know that, hey,
So these are on first reading for now, right?
yes,
So the next board meeting, they would
become the policy, yes.
Yes.
Well, and there's nothing in here that changed, like, we're still able to send this communication. It's just describing it in the policy. Our policy doesn't say we can't do that. It just is further expanding on what it already says.
Well, a big, I think from what, like an operations standpoint, one of the big changes that I'm seeing is that instead of the board approving extra transfers, Gary approves their extra transfers. Back in the day.
And that's how it's always been in practice. So I didn't think you guys wanted to.
No.
Sit here and look at each person.
Gary wasn't sure, but the rest of it.
I do think we will to make sure that you have a clearly written lottery policy for the person who isn't chosen that's going to ask.
Yeah.
Tell me the,
And a number of our districts, of districts that I talk to, do it in the presence of it. Usually this person in my position does it in the presence of another staff member, and so there's some safe
Checks and balances.
accountability.
And so, yeah, we'll develop that and make sure that that's posted on the website as well, so it's as transparent as possible.
So you can go with Marina or Paul.
Yep.
And it goes in the vault.
They'll be fireproof.
And so that's all I have. Is there any questions? And I will get that correct policy out to you guys to review.
With the link.
Yes, with the link, and I'll update that in the agenda and the minutes.
Okay. Is there any other questions about policies?
Thank you, Deb.
You're welcome.
Okay, moving on, we're on to action items.
Chad, you're back up. Thanks for being patient.
On our yearly textbook adoption, put out some of the social studies textbooks that we want to adopt here. They're listed on this paper. So I'm asking for a vote of approval to move forward with adopting the book. So the social studies textbooks from 7th to 12th grade, we'll keep digging into the 6th grade books next year. We're limiting our funding and how much we're spending this year on textbooks to the budget. So we're aiming at 7th grade and above for this year. And then we're also want to purchase a statistics, an AP Core statistics textbook. And that's an ever-changing target. Classes, work and the teachers work with a cohort around the state, and they try to figure out which materials are best suited to help the students pass the test in its current form. So we want to switch that up. Forensic science, we've never had a textbook, and that seems like that course is here to stay, forensic science. So I want to purchase that book. Last year, or this year, we piloted Acellus learning online software for some of our online coursework, and we want to adopt that. That's working to be a solution for many of our students. We're moving away from Accelerate learning software at the K-6 level, and we found that this is better, and this is better for some of our students for high school courses also. So sometimes Ingenuity works better, and sometimes Acellus works better depending on the student.
Are we saving, or are we getting out of a contract that is saving us some money and replacing it with Acellus, or are we adding Acellus to what we already have?
We won't purchase Accelerate. We won't contract with them next year. We'll contract with Acellus instead.
We have a few more years, I think 1 or 2 more years on the current Ingenuity contract. But because we use so many seats, we're going above and beyond that contract cost. So it'll be the additional seats we won't be paying for anymore from Ingenuity.
So it is the savings.
Yeah, pretty soon.
And least K-8 wise, because we haven't used it as much at the high school level, but K-8 wise, we've received rave reviews from families about Acellus. So, Dr. Gowski, your boys have messed around with it a little bit. You would have a little bit of a knowledge about it.
My boys have completed multiple grade levels of different curriculums on it and enjoy it quite a bit.
And then we will pilot a marine biology textbook next year to still be determined. You don't have to vote on that, just letting you know. So at some point, maybe in August, we'll come back. Maybe we'll select one or maybe we'll pilot. I guess it's a better way to say it. And that's because marine biology, we were going to offer the course and then we weren't going to offer it. And then more students than we thought signed up for the course. And we have a book that we've been using, but it's dated to 2012. So we're looking at a few books, and I might come back in August and say we've selected a book, or we might just pilot it next year. And then next year, we're looking at completing 6th grade social studies, and then looking at world languages, textbooks, and then anything that we need for PE or art, which we usually don't purchase textbooks for PE or art, but we might purchase other materials in lieu of a textbook for them.
At the K-5 level, we've been using Social Studies Weekly, which is a weekly magazine. There's also an online component that the kids have. We're going to continue with that. It updates yearly, so it's always kind of fresh. It's cost effective for us, and that, when you couple it with Amplify's social studies component, takes care of the standards that we need. We have to get a little creative with 4th grade because they have the Native Oregonian standards, but for the most part, it takes care of our needs at the K-5 level.
And it teaches history.
Yes.
Real history.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Do you need a motion for each one of these things or just to
We've never
adopt?
done that way. We've just adopted the whole list.
Yeah.
So I had a question. Is it going to be for physical hard books or like tablets and online?
Physical hard books.
Right there, okay.
And we'll have online accounts that students can use, because what we do is we purchase a class set to stay in the classroom, but instead of the kids carrying those back and carrying them up, if they want to sign in at home, then they can sign in online. But so it's a combo.
Stays at school.
And there are things that are online that you can't put in the book, some interactive maps and other resources and videos. So it's nice to have the combo. And if there is a student that doesn't have online access, we purchase enough books that they can check out on the
I'd like to move to adopt the instructional materials as presented for 25-26 school year.
26, 27?
26, 27 is this one.
Okay. Yeah, that's because we are doing it right now, but they're actually
Yeah.
for next year.
26, 27, you got that.
Okay, so we have a motion to adopt the instructional materials for 2026 through 2027. Do I have a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Arnie?
Aye.
Kim?
Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
Mimi?
Aye.
Kevin? Chair votes aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah, thanks for sticking around.
Yep.
Thanks, Chad. Appreciate it.
Am I good to go next?
Pardon me?
Am I good to go next?
Oh, yes, you are.
Okay, perfect. So I'm presenting to you the contract extension for 1 year for Sodexo. We went out for RFP in 23-24, but per ODE regulations, we have to do a 1-year extension after that initial RFP process. This contract has gone to ODE and been approved and was approved to be brought to you guys. It is for a 3.5% increase, which is great considering cost of living expenses that are going up and cost of food is significantly rising, but this is a 3.56% increase above last year's costs. Does anyone have any other questions on the Sodexo contract extension?
Is the food going to improve?
3.5%.
3.5%.
Okay.
So, I mean, I had a meeting with Jean Leap, who is the head of Sodexo, and I'm really impressed by what they are doing and the program that she runs and the level of detail. But my question is deeper than that: is contracting this service the right thing for our district to be doing? And you know, I think this is a no-brainer. We go forward with this right now, but I just raised the question of Sodexo is not a company here in locally, and the people that are running our Sodexo, the people who are employed by Sodexo in our community are members of our community, and they're doing a fabulous job, and we would need their expertise to stay here and continue to work for us.
Yes.
If we were to do this as a district, separate from Sodexo. But I guess my question is, you know, from a thinking strategically, do we want, in 10 years, do we still want to be contracted with Sodexo, or do we want to, as a district, take over our own food service?
It's something we're going to explore next year. We're one of the few schools on the coast that still use a contracted service for food service.
Yeah.
Our neighbors to the north don't, nor does any of the other ESD schools that I'm aware of. I've been talking with them. It all sounds like they all do their own. One on Brookings, I'm a little fuzzy on, but I think it's a conversation to have next year as a district office and as a board. Is, you know, do we want to go down, continue to work with Sodexo? Do we want to look at another company, or do we want to just look at bringing it into our own, similar to what, you know, a lot of school districts that are similar size to us run their own food service. When I was in South Lane, we had our own food service. So I think that's a conversation for next year, throughout the year, to have.
I just think one of the things that sort of leasing or contracting does is that ultimately it leaves you with less capability to do it yourself. When you tour the kitchens in our schools, a lot of them are no longer fully equipped kitchens. We are microwaving food for our children for the most part, because or oven, or, you know, commercial ovening, reheating, not cooking. And I just don't know that a district our size would want to continue to do that.
And we have the avenues in our community through wholesale distributors to get everything that we would need. I mean, it's not like we're so out of the way that we can't get fresh fruits, vegetables, and we're doing that already.
We do it through Day Ship Supply.
Yeah, we already do that through a
And I really, and I don't mean this in any critical way of Janine or Sodexo, because they're doing a great job and they're bringing in lots of fresh and local stuff too. Like, but fundamentally, the system is set up for them to provide a service and to take some profit for the company to run it.
Yeah.
And that's normal. That makes sense. That's a good business. That's a normal business relationship. But do we, as a district, want to continue that?
Because we had that conversation here, you know, started having that
And
conversation.
that's
So,
been a conversation in the last budget cycle this spring, is cost savings wise, would that be beneficial? Obviously, there's other things like staffing and the reporting, but we currently do all of the ODE monitoring, and a lot of the documentation we're still responsible for, even though we have a vendor. So that is something that Gary and our goal is to really cost out and have that available for the next budget cycle. That could be a conversation during the budget season, and we could build it accordingly.
Yeah, one of the things that big organizations like that bring is, so, you know, she was showing me all the binders of compliant, you know, food that is compliant with FDA regulation, right? So that, you know, the USDA, you know, the amount of sodium in everything.
Yeah.
It's not a chef tasting it. It is this many milligrams per this many liters, right? And so they bring a lot of that compliance and drag and drop easy planning that we would have to build, or retain staff who know how to do it.
Yeah.
So the reason we don't have it was budget issues a long time ago. And when we hire our own employees, they get PERS, They get a whole bunch of stuff. So the employees you're bringing on are going to be much more expensive than the employees they're paying. And so recognize that, I personally, I don't want them to have those things, but I'm just gonna tell you that all of a sudden you have 30 new employees who all have benefits and other things that are part of one of your unions that are gonna cost you more money than what Sodexo pays. And so when we were deciding a long time ago to do this, it was all about, can we keep teachers in the classroom at reasonable sizes? And they weren't all that reasonable at the time. But it was a difficult decision, and they also were going to do all of our custodian stuff, and they finally didn't do that. Pleased with that. That's when we also lost busing, which we used to do, and you're absolutely right in that one. We couldn't afford to do busing because we can't buy the buses.
Once you take busing away, it never comes back.
Yeah.
Because of the cost of the buses.
Yeah. Well, and it might be the right decision to continue to work with Sodexo, right? It would just, I guess as a new, relatively new board member, I'm just asking, as this contract comes up, I'm asking the question.
We'll
Longitudinally,
get
10
it all
years from
cost
now.
out, we'll get it all cost out next year and provide the board data on the costs and what we think the direction we should go.
Great.
So
I will-
can I get a motion
I will make a motion to approve the Sodexo contract extension
for 1 year,
for 1 year.
for the 26-27 school year?
Correct.
Do I have a second? Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Kevin?
Aye.
Beatty?
Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
Kim?
Aye.
Arnie?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. The contract is extended for 1 year. Adult meal price resolution.
That's me again. Every year in June, I bring to you a calculation of what we should be charging for adult meals for the upcoming school year. All of our lunches and breakfasts are free lunches out of the district. We work really hard to do that. But for an adult, a staff member, I would like to propose that we continue to charge the 4.99 per meal.
Can we just round it to 5? That way
Yes.
people got to worry about pennies and all
Yeah,
that?
because pennies are out of circulation, that's something they have.
That's totally up to you guys.
Let's
If
go
you'd
to
like to
5.
Sure,
do an
5.
adjustment, okay.
I think it'll make everyone's lives a little bit easier.
That's exactly.
I like 4.99. No,
This is exactly what we charged last year, which is what I just
Right.
selected.
Yeah,
But
just-
I think it depends on still in circulation.
Also, I would just like to point out that it does have Dr. Ainsworth as our superintendent.
See, it's the exact same resolution.
Yep.
Ignore that. Don't tell Gary that.
Yeah. So just,
Thank you.
We can send it to Ainsworth. and see.
That's all it's intended.
Is there a reason why we have breakfast at $2.84 and not $3?
It was the calculation of what the meal equivalent costs. And so this was all a pretty intense calculation with ODE and Sodexo as to what the actual meal costs. So we're not making a profit off of it, but it is covering the food costs. So at that time, when I did this calculation, for breakfast to cover.
Yeah.
Again, you guys have full, you guys can decide that.
We could make it $15, but we're not.
Yeah, but we're not doing
I just
How many of these
How many-
adult
how many-
meals are
how many
generally
meals do we
sold?
actually sell?
Oh, less than 58. It takes more time for me to calculate it than revenue that we
That's what I
receive.
figured.
I would like to make a motion to adopt the adult meal price resolution with the increase from $4.99 to $5 and from $2 to $2.85 for next school year.
You'll second that? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Kevin?
Aye.
Beatty?
Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
Kim?
Aye.
Artie? Chair votes aye. We have our meal prices for next year. Okay, now we're on to our board meeting calendar.
Right.
give Marina a break and I'll do this one.
It's been a really stressful meeting in my seat right now.
All right, so I just took the same that we've done all the years I've been here. Second Monday of the month. We didn't run into any holidays for our regular board meetings this year, except for Columbus Indigenous People Day. That holiday, I don't think that
That looks
we
like
don't
it
have it
might
off
be
at the
the-
district, so I didn't know if we should schedule around that. So that's the only one. But if you guys are okay with meeting on that day, I'll be there.
Does anybody plan on going away over,
Today is that.
it would
Well, you
be
could still
the
come.
October
Oh, the-
9th, 10th weekend, before.
You could still come virtually.
Yeah.
No, I think that they all.
Okay.
And then the only other one to talk about is special board meeting work session. Typically, we've done that in August. In the past, I believe, maybe it's always been a Saturday, but it's a longer meeting, 4 or 5. It's where we talk about our goals, maybe have OSBA join us.
Workshop.
Yeah, workshop.
Yeah.
So that one I left to be determined because I don't know all of your guys' calendars. So I'd like to poll and see when a good time in August, but just know that we do plan to have an August work session.
I think I'll send that out.
Yes, I'll send something out. And that got me thinking that we just did this for cabinet, and it might be beneficial for us as a board to get a shared calendar where we put vacations and things on it. Just because I think it would save all of us a little back and forth of when, hey, we need an emergency meeting. If I already know Mady's in Salem and, Addie's in New Hampshire,
Yeah.
then I won't, I can work around it and then suggest dates that probably will work.
I'll tell you that I will be unable to provide that.
We
I
understand.
already have 3 separate calendars that don't talk to each other, and so I can't add onto another calendar, but I'll be as available as I can.
Sounds
Use
good.
the Google Calendar that's attached to our Google emails,
Sure, yeah.
or
just-
even the Outlook. Outlook's got a calendar on it.
Yeah, as long as even if you just share it with me and you
could share.
make sure your vacations are on
I'm
there.
gone the first 2 weeks of August, and that's it for the whole year. And it's North Dakota, and there's no cell phone service there.
No, you always try.
I've always tried, I went up the water towers, everything.
I'm the first 2 weeks of August as well, probably in Norway. So we-
Oh, you're gonna be gone, well, it won't be the first 2 weeks of August, it looks like.
Awesome, good planning, honey, yeah.
Okay. So anyway, I'll send a poll out and we'll get that scheduled.
If you gave some, I could probably figure it out, but if you gave instructions about which calendar you prefer, Google or Outlook, it would be super easy. Tell us how to share it with you and just,
Okay.
dump stuff right in there. That way it's not a whole nother.
Yeah, I'll send instructions. I've done it in the past and all of the cabinet and administrators, I have their calendars, which makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, make it easier for you too.
So yeah, I will send something out with that. And then special board meetings, 4th Monday of the month, except for December. We've always skipped December because we're in the middle of the Christmas holiday season break. And then they're all tentative except for the data meetings. The data meetings are set in stone. The tentative are as needed.
Thank you.
Do we need to adopt this?
Yes.
We do.
Do I have a motion to adopt the 2026, 2027 board meeting calendar?
I'll make that motion.
Been moved, do I have a second?
I'll say.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Or
Thank you.
is there any objection? Hearing none, the board meeting calendar is adopted. We do have a leave of absence request. Pardon me? Did I? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? it passed.
Yes, we have a leave of absence request from Laura Gamara, who is a teacher at Sunset. She's asking for a leave of absence to finish her, I believe, her master's program, and then also to have some time to reset.
So that's what she's gonna do, is finish her master's. And what does that do to our staffing?
We will post for, I believe her intention is, if the leave request is not granted, then to leave us. So we will be posting for a position either way. Laura's been with us for, I want to say, 3 or 4 years. She's done a good job at Sunset, and she's been a valued staff member there.
I still move that we approve the leave of absence request.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the leave of absence request for Laura Gamara for the 26-27 school year. Is there any further discussion?
If we, just playing it out, if we end up needing to make staffing cuts again next year, how does the person that has been approved for year leave of absence, could we be potentially letting somebody go to give her a job back?
Potentially, yes. Historically, we've been able to absorb through other either retirees or movement. We have 6 elementary positions? No.
No, we have 6 open teaching positions at this moment.
But I think we have 2 Madison.
We have 4 just at K6.
Yeah.
And this does not guarantee somebody their grade level or other things. So but they're licensed, so they're a job.
Yeah.
A job that fits with their license.
Yeah.
Okay, Kevin?
Aye.
Katie?
Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
Kim?
Aye.
Arnie? Chair votes aye.
Now that that's been discussed and voted on, I have been talking with Addie and David and Michelle on a different system for leave of absences next year that I'm going to talk about after we just double check that there might be an opportunity for when a person requests a leave of absence that we can maybe go into executive session and have them address the board as to why they want their leave of absence.
That'd be cool, yeah.
And what's going on, to give you guys some more background. We're just double checking that it fits into the status of a contract employee or as before. We think it does, but we're double checking with GHR and Rebecca. And if that's the case, then I think next year moving forward, a leave of absence requests, we'll put them on, have an executive session, let them address you.
The confidentiality.
And confidential, and then, yeah. So.
They can bring their wrapper.
Yeah. But
they're on.
we just feel like that might be a better system moving
No,
forward.
remember, we won't approve it.
No, but you
Yeah,
don't have to
exactly.
say their name. You can say the
So-
stuff that we discussed.
So Dave, we're working on that we're just double checking that legally compliant.
Okay, we're on to board items. We have to consider installing wireless or wearable silent panic alarm systems in all K through 12 schools. It is part of a new state law.
We have to wear them?
No, our staff.
We won't probably use wearables, we'll just have buttons.
Most of the schools have a button, panic button.
We have panic buttons,
Yeah.
but this would be wearable.
This is
This is
wearable.
for the
badge.
children. It just
No,
says
for the-
wireless
this is
or
for-
wearables for the
So
children.
this is either, it's a phone app.
To be on your, yes, it's either a
To be
phone
on
app
your-
or it's on your badge.
Or it's on your badge. So that's what we're considering, is whether we get a hardware that's separate from your phone or we get a software which is on your phone.
Or if we do it
Are you sure
Or if we
it's
do it
only
all.
for staff?
Yeah, that's my belief from looking at the law and talking with Loma. This is just for staff.
AD
For
seems
school.
to think
Well, I
students
just
might be.
didn't, I didn't read it didn't say staff only. And it said with 50 or more students, so I jumped to the conclusion.
I think it's just schools with 50 or more students have to have them for staff.
So Panic alert systems link directly, so do our buttons now link directly to?
Fleets of
So,
fire.
yeah, so
Each-
maybe, could you give us the background? What is currently in all of our schools?
All of our schools currently have 2 buttons in their room they call the office. One is just general all call, and the other one is a panic button. And when that panic button sounds, it makes a beep, very, very intensive beeping noise in the office that there is a panic in one of the rooms. We also have items within our phone systems, as I think you guys are aware. Any 911 call from a classroom triggers throughout the district. I get it every time that it happens. Maintenance, the whole cabinet team, we all get the 911. I don't know what the word is those. But we have those that say where it's coming from, what staff, We had one last week from the phone at Millicoma from one of our students, and it said exactly what phone line it was called from, and it goes out throughout.
So we do not currently have a button that directly links to law enforcement. We have buttons in the rooms that link to our office, and our office calls 911.
We have buttons in the office that are connected to 911. So
Right, but we don't have buttons in the room. We have buttons that link, we have buttons. in
buttons
our
linked to
room.
the office. Office has buttons that link to 911 and emergency response. And then, as I said, all phones have the ability to dial 911 in the classrooms, and when that happens, it triggers throughout the whole district. Every admin gets it in every building, and every cabinet member gets that.
And so option 3, which is not up here, is we continue to do, we are comfortable with our level
Preparation.
of preparation, and we don't invest in one of these other options.
Correct.
So we don't have to invest.
We do not have to.
Just have to
We have to discuss
You have
it.
to discuss it and consider it.
And in talking with Loma, option 2 really wouldn't be an option for us because of the limited wireless and cell phone connection in some of our schools. You couldn't rely on it in the junior high school, for example. Their wireless is spotty in some places, so the wearable device would be.
Seems like a problem if you're at a brand new building.
Been a problem since day one.
Well,
That building.
and part of it is too, there's certain spots in Millicoma that have no cell coverage, and if you're on the network, you have additional issues in trying to get out or use certain things, so it makes it tough.
So, but each of our offices or entry points into our school has a panic button that actually links directly to law enforcement.
Yes.
And that makes, in our elementary schools and upper elementary schools that have relatively contained campuses and single points of entry or controlled points of entry, that's probably a sufficient setup. Probably similar in our junior high.
K-8, we have one main point of entry with a vestibule,
Yeah.
buzz buttons, and panic buttons in there if need be. That can be used.
And then there's no way to retrofit or create some of that kind of thing in high school.
The high school, well, we have drawings that have been done for a high school entry that,
I saw those, yeah.
that would be several $100,000 of probably closer to $1 million worth of construction to put in.
And would only be one building.
Yeah, and we also have some drawings for Milner Crest, which wouldn't be as expensive as Marshfield, but the problem with Marshfield's campus is, like I talked about this with one of the
It
councilors.
doesn't matter if you have one great entrance in the middle of Marshfield. It's
That's
just
right.
campus.
It has 10 access doors just in the main building, and outside access doors just in the main building. We were doing I was speaking at a solution session with one of the counselors. We were talking about this and we were doing a head count going around the building. I think we were at 10, just in the main building alone.
And, you know, there's 3 or 4 at the West Gym, there's 5 or 6 at the other gym. And then there's all the buildings out back.
Yes, and that's, yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, we were talking also about just the lack of a secure fencing at Marshall. Junior high has some secure fencing.
Then what about an option that's not up here? But what about keeping things the way they are at K-8 and a wearable solution at the high school for teachers, right? Because if we're talking a active shooter, right, at our Marshallville High School, that is a worst case scenario for all of us. That is horrible. We don't want to think about that, but we have to think about it. So there's no way for law enforcement to know where they are in that campus, right? There's no way for, like, if somebody calls 911 from X classroom, how the heck is anybody going to know where it's at? And that's a big campus. You're going to have panicked high school students who completely flood the cell phone. Cell phones are not going to work, right? Because you've got a high school full of cell phones.
They're not supposed to have them on.
But
I know, I'm just saying.
But they have them in their backpack, right? But within 30 seconds of shots fired on Marshallville campus, cell phones are not going to work in our town.
Well, and the other thing as well is with Marshallville being the shared campus that it is, if you're relying on a mobile type system that students have access to, sometimes you have 7th and 8th graders. We don't share staff as much. Right. You can look and say the junior high is a secure building staff-wise.
Right.
The high school is its own building staff-wise. So, but with students being shared, some of the mobile things also are a problem, would be an issue. I can have Loma look into the pricing for one building. And get a little bit of background of what, you know, this was for 7 sites. The $35,000 to $60,000 initial investment, 12 to 18 per year.
I mean, it would be very expensive, and it would be really hard at the Marshallville campus because it's gonna have to work over like a mesh Wi-Fi or something, and having that installed on a Marshallville campus would be exorbitantly expensive.
Yeah.
So I suspect the answer to this is we're going to keep doing what we're doing, but I think a more sensible solution than saying we need to do this for every single district building is to say, what is our most vulnerable building? And it's Marshallville campus. The rest of our buildings are relatively set up for, you said, single point entry, panic button at the entry, vestibule. Like, we've been told that is the best we can do.
I'll have Loma pull some data just on Marshall High School. I mean, even without a vestibule at Milner, they still have a single, they still have only one point of entry for their students and staff during the day. I mean, that's not true, I shouldn't say staff. They have one point of entry for students during the day, and the other doors are secure and locked. They don't have free flowing between campus, buildings like Marshall does. So even their security is upgraded, but not to the level of vestibules, and it's upgraded.
And it's also a much smaller campus. So if we're talking response to an emergency, if you get a police car on the Milner campus, they're going to be able to respond to what's going on and figure out what's going on pretty quickly. If you have a red alert on Marshfield campus, the immediate question is where?
Yeah,
because it's huge.
Yeah. So I'll have Loma pull some additional costs for just one building.
That seems very reasonable.
It might still be too much, but just an idea.
Maybe not.
Excellent.
We will do a little research.
Okay. Does anyone on the board want to take any action at this time on this measure? No. Okay, good. We're on to board member highlights.
Graduations were awesome.
Yeah.
graduation preparation. So were the assemblies for scholarships and.
Oh, they were
the
all
evening.
awesome.
I went to site council last week, actually, over at East Side, so that's kind of nice, and they were asking if I was coming back, and I said, I'll let you know when we figure it out next year.
I have Madison today. It's great, had a 70% increase in students being at or above expectations, so it's wonderful. And they also know where they have areas to improve, and so they were honest about that. So I appreciate it, staff, everything they're doing.
I attended their growth parade today. It
Yes.
was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and they've got to be rescheduled indoors.
Yes.
So they're hoping
Yeah.
I want to highlight the like CTE regional awards night that Glenn put on. That partnership that he's created with multiple local CTE programs and the industry partners, and it was really well attended. They gave away a lot of really great stuff that the students were excited to receive, and got an impromptu tour of the shop from Glenn, which was really cool.
It's really cool.
It's really cool. I wish my high school had something that great and a teacher that invested. So
Yeah.
It's a really great program.
I really enjoyed graduation. It was wonderful. Great to hear all the speeches and see all the kids. It was great.
Yeah, and for me, I got to try out a new sport. I'm the only booster for the boys volleyball team. I made it to all the games. And the sportsmanship and watching them all grow, because the first time it's OSA. So, I mean, you kind of travel everywhere and do all kinds of stuff, but it turned out being pretty darn fun. And Coach Teresa Knudsen, we definitely need more coaches like her. Yeah, she's awesome and she's fair. You can see how she's teaching them stuff. You know, if you mess up, she's not losing it. She's just mentoring them. It's fun to watch.
It's good to know, isn't it? You get good feedback on coaches.
Yeah, she did awesome.
She's great.
And I will highlight graduation. I came back last Monday and was all ready to, I landed at 1:30 and I had a 2:45 site council meeting over at Sunset, and all of a sudden Jacob says, you don't have to rush over here, we canceled it. So I thought that was a perfect site council meeting to attend. But yeah, graduation was really nice, as it always is, since it's so student-centered.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Both buildings did a great job.
Okay, anything else?
I have one quick question. It says here that July 13th is virtual only. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so we're not coming here.
No.
I mean, you can sit here and do it
All by yourself.
Okay, I'll be here if you want to. I've done it.
Thank you. I just wanted to double check I had that right.
Okay. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful evening.
You too.